What is up? What is up? What is up? I got my boy here, Izzy, who's joining the chat nice and early. I wasn't supposed to let him in yet, but it's okay. It happened. We don't know what we're doing here on the live stream here, but somebody confirm if we're live because I don't see anybody on the chat yet, but that's okay. What is going on? How you doing, Iz?
What's going on, Lawrence? How's everything, bro?
Yeah, I'm hanging in there, man. I can't complain, man. I'm
Mhm.
bored tonight. I figured why not? I haven't done a live stream in a really, really, really long time. So like, let's just do it. Yeah, we are live, so we're good. So
Yeah. How long has it been since you've done a live stream?
when I did the giveaway for, I don't know if you were on that stream or not. When I did the giveaway for like, I gave away that Captain America original art, that Avengers #4, that a
Yeah.
buddy of mine drew. That was the last time. And actually, I made the announcement on that live stream that I was starting the podcast. So
Mhm.
that was it.
Wow. How long ago was that? Because I do remember that. I just don't remember how long ago was that.
It was a while, definitely a
Yeah.
while. Yeah. So, but it's a lot of stuff happening since then. So I want to get a lot of people's thoughts on the podcast later on in
Yeah.
the show.
Mhm.
Wait for some people to come in. Hopefully, we get a few that show up. Right now, it's just 3 people, but that's okay, man. We're just
That's
it's a Friday night in the East Coast. We're just hanging out, right?
Yeah, I feel you, man, and I'm with you on doing live streams. I haven't done the live stream since like the beginning of the summer, but there's some drama behind that though. So not drama like before, but very different type of drama. So my co-host who was doing the shows with me, he ended up somehow YouTube been this is no secret by the way. He got banned by YouTube for spam content, and we still to this day we still don't even know what it is. And as a result, what ended up happening for me is like I'm like you when it comes to certain things. There's things you could do solo, and there are things
Yeah.
you need to like piggyback off of somebody. So it was a good opportunity not to take a hiatus, but to take a break from live streams. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I'll do hangouts and stuff like that. So I'm not completely away from the world. But I've been doing, the videos, the spotlight videos, been getting like guest hosts to do that. I got a great one coming out this Sunday. I'm still doing my trending because I gotta. It's just there's a science behind what I do with my trending. I don't just take the list. I take everyone's list and I turn it into one thing. So it's a lot of work. There's a spreadsheet. Lawrence,
I
have you
know.
seen, you seen this? I don't know if I ever showed you the spreadsheet, but man, it is a spreadsheet. Um, but it gives me it keeps me entertained. You know what I'm saying? So
I get it. The lists are a lot of work, man. They're not easy to do, even if
mhm,
you just concentrating on one like I do.
mhm.
Uh, it's just putting everything together is not as easy as everybody would think it is. So
Yeah,
I totally understand. You do them live too, which I could never fucking do. Like it's just too much. I mess up too much when I'm recording them. So I can
mhm.
imagine me like when I'm speaking. You know how many times like, I got to cut and then come back and redo it. So there are times I get the whole thing out in like one shot, which is great
Mhm.
because it saves a lot of time. Believe it or not,
Yeah,
it takes me only about 15 minutes to actually record each of the hot lists. That's it.
yeah,
All the work that goes into it is the editing shit. That's what takes forever.
yeah. And I do like for me, I do the cover price rewinds, which they give me. They give me the information. They give it to me as early as Wednesday, so I get it on Wednesday. And like everybody else gets it because if you go to their website, the list is there. So it's not like it's something new or something that everybody's holding out until I do my video. But then I get to this mode of it's got to look better than the previous one. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? I'm constantly evolving my style, my method,
You
and
have
everything
to.
like
You
that.
have to. You have to.
And one day I was at what show I was at Heroes. It was at Heroes, and I was like, hey guys, I'm gonna do it from Heroes Con because first of all, I went to Heroes on Thursday, so I needed to do the time. So I recorded. I got some other podcasters involved, and I sent it to them. Say, hey guys, what do you think? They loved it, And now I get since it is the summertime and we get to do more cons. I could do them in more cons, but that also means that it's going to be running a little later than what it probably would have been, which is now Monday. So, and I'm happy. I was like, get it out on Mondays. But then my top trending list, I moved it to Tuesdays, which is good for me because now I could get the other list that I need to get. That's the Monday list that usually comes out on Monday, which is actually cover price top 10, not their rewind. and then I have all the 3 lists that I need to then consolidate them into one gigantic list.
Aren't you burnt out on lists? No joke, because I am. I'm not gonna lie to you, dude. I am.
I'm not burned out, and here's why. I'm burned out when it's time to work on some of them, but I don't get burned out because I get amazed by some of these books that keep popping up. Books that have no right to be in the list. You get what I'm saying? And what's funny to me, and you and I, we've been collecting comics for as long as we can possibly remember, I bet. But I want to know who are these collectors that are buying these FOMO books in such a way that it makes no sense. Like for me, that West Coast Adventures 35, it's a cool Doom cover, but really, like seriously,
Well, here's the thing. In my opinion, I don't think it's about a book now. Now it's a part of history of the
Mhm,
MCU. It's a part of the history. I guess a little bit in comics now because most likely going to take something from that book and put it into the MCU. So people figure, now I own a part of MCU history by owning the book. That's the only logic I can put behind that. But it's just
mhm.
people are that's been going on forever. But I want to pause right now
Yeah.
and just tell everyone, if you want to jump on the stream, the link to come in is in the description of this video, but I also put it pinned it to the comments. If you want to come
Mhm,
on, just make sure the video is good, the sound's good, and come in and just talk whatever you want tonight. This is an
mhm,
open mic, meaning anyone could pop in. Right now, I only have a couple people in the chat, so I'm going to say hello to MJ Comics, one of my buddies. What's going on, brother? And we have
hey, what's
Chris
up, MJ?
Verde popping in. What's going on? How are you? Both of you, thanks
Mhm,
for joining us tonight. And if anybody else pops in to say hello, we'll gladly add them to the stream. And if, like I said, if you want to come on, just come on.
mhm,
There's no agenda. I have a couple of things I do want to talk about tonight, a couple of things that
mhm,
happen in the community and so on and so forth. I want to talk about the podcast because that's new that I haven't really discussed much with everyone outside of the people I've actually had on it. So,
mhm.
but back to the list, like, yeah, I talked about it with Swag. I don't know if you watched the short video that was today, but like, I feel like a lot of comic book YouTube content is definitely dwindling. Let's put it that way. Like not a lot of people are paying attention. I get some comments,
Yeah.
people who are saying like I'm kind of heat that the people were burnt out about for comic YouTube content, and I totally get it.
Mhm. And I get burned out for a couple of things. So, like new comic books, being a Wednesday warrior is hard when there's not. There's two problems I have. I have problem number one is finding the time to sit down and read. Like sit down and read new books. I have an extremely busy life for probably a lot of people don't know. Um, and then the other problem is just the consistency involved in new comic books. It's like nothing sticks anymore.
Yeah.
Like there's no stakes there's no there are books that are good reads, and I'll give it that much, but at the end of the day, no one talks about it anymore and it means nothing. So here the 6 months you have a book and a story that's like really cool, but you don't have anything else that goes along with it. You know what I mean? And I think that's my biggest gripe with current comic books. Um, but like I said, with the trending books, I enjoy it because I've always enjoyed anything that's like top 10. I've been a massive fan of top 10 movies, stuff like that. That's just part of my DNA. That's why I guess you could say I don't get really burned out by it. It gets burned out talking about the same book over and over.
Yeah. I don't know. I 100% feel like comic book content on YouTube has definitely gotten stale. I want to say hello to Chef. What's going on, brother? Thanks for joining us tonight. And MJ, he's getting burnt out just thinking about the list right now. And
I would
I do
expect
not.
that from MJ.
Yeah, I don't blame you, man. I'm the same
Yeah.
way with you.
Mhm.
Maybe because we do them, we put the work in to kind of get them ready and for everyone else. But like, and you try to be different, right? You try to be different than anyone else who's doing it. Like I say,
Mhm.
I love the way you edit your stuff. Like it looks phenomenal. I don't like, I don't wouldn't like to do them live because I feel like there's just too much
Yeah.
that goes on and you kind of stray at times, which I totally would do if I did them live.
Yeah.
But I feel like everybody's doing a list. That's the next thing. That's why I kind of want to stop, but everyone like
Mhm.
won't let me. So they go nuts.
Well, that was where I got. So I was like everyone else. I would grab a list, whether it was a key collector list, whether it was a cover price list or CBSI, and I just went and I would just go ahead off that list, right? I was like, okay, here's 10, 10, 9, 8, and go down the list. And after a while, I started seeing other people doing the same thing. I am of the notion that I don't want to do what everybody else does. Nothing against anybody. You know what I mean? It's nothing against anybody, nothing against what their content is or anything like that. But what I want to do is if I'm gonna have a list, I want a list that I could call my own now,
I get it.
and a list that is still relevant, but more importantly, a list that is more accurate to what they're saying. And when I mean by they, I'm not talking about the YouTubers. I'm talking about the people throwing out the list. Because some of these lists to me are just, they don't make any sense. Like
Well, I was gonna say it's not even that, like, but even the list you're compiling, you're still getting the list from all these different hot things, and you're compiling your own list. But
Mhm.
they're all relatively hot lists, right?
Yeah.
That's like the one thing. It's like, all right, so they're all claiming that these books are hot, but in reality, are they hot or just more copies just being sold? Like to me, when I guess you could people want to take that as hot. I don't consider that hot. To me, what
Mhm.
I think is hot is a people overpaying like last sale over 90-day average. If they're spending more money on these books, that what makes a book hot to me. And not just one sale, obviously, but multiple people doing that. That's what makes a book hot, not just that they're selling. Because you see, ASM 129 is like the hottest book around right now. A lot of
Mhm.
copies are selling, but again, are they selling for crazy amounts? Are they selling for right around what they're going for?
Mhm.
Well, most of the
Yeah.
time, they're going for around what they're going for. So is that to me is hot? No, there's a lot of copies, so a lot of hot
Mhm.
copies are going to sell.
Yeah, same thing could be said for like Omega Men 3, right?
Yeah.
That's a book that's always on a hot list. That's always there because there's this general excitement about seeing Lobo live action, but it's something that's a year coming down, which I personally kind of like that because that there's a consistency to that. Last year the big book was Wolverine #1, the limited series. Remember that was like in
Yep.
every
Every
week in the league.
Yep.
So but for me it was like more the trending list where the the sales do matter, but I also take it like to consideration the fair market value. Well, what's the current fair market value? Has the price of the book gone up in comparison to everything? Then there's this overall hype, right? So I also include, okay, Fantastic Four came out or Superman came out, so obviously these books are hot because of this or because of that, and that's also takes to consideration. So I always look at what's their ranking, what's their sales, what's the total amount of their sales, and what's the cost of the sales. So a book like ASM 129 will be so much different and makes more sense when you have a lot of sales of a book like that in comparison to a book like West Coast Avengers 35, where it's probably a $20 book today. The sales figures of it, they change because this book is largely more expensive to get than this one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I look at that. If I see 100 sales, and I don't do a week, I do 30 days. I take the list that's the week's list, but then I look at the 30-day volume, and the 30-day volume actually gives me more insight of how hot this book really is.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about lists anymore. I'm getting burned
You're
out just
burned out.
listening to this shit already. Just listening to it, it's like, oh, making me nauseous. But Sean, what's going on? He says, "What's up? Nothing but love for comics from Nebraska, and I just got back to 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s for comics. Can't help it, but I like new Aliens and Predator stuff. Hey, nobody
Yeah,
should be holding back. You like what you like, and that's it,
yeah,
man. Don't take shit from anybody. That's what I always
yeah.
say. But
Hell,
so yeah, I mean, I have a couple topics tonight I want to talk about. First, I'll bring up is community news.
mhm.
Uh, I will say this: anybody see Sticky's new video today? I thought
Oh, I
that
did
was
not. He has a new video
interesting.
today.
Yeah, he dressed up as Comic Tom again, which I was shocked that he was gonna. I thought he was kind of gonna stop that stuff, but that it was funny, but we'll see what the backlash is. Very creative, I will say. The guy is tremendously creative, but
You
that's a
got a chance
community
to
news. But
interview them.
yeah, he was very cordial. We are more alike than and people,
Mhm,
more than people know. We're in the same field of work, so it's like we have a lot of commonalities. So it
mhm,
was good to hear from him and talk about some stuff not relating to comics. I have a second part of that video coming out in a couple of weeks. Second
mhm,
part of that, and we'll talk more about collecting and stuff like that. So look forward to that as well. But any other community news that anybody heard? I know
mhm.
Terrificon just happened, so you were just
Yep.
there, right? How was
I
that?
was. It was a blast, and I always enjoyed Terrificon. I had a chance to, for the first time, I had a chance to be there for 3 days, for all 3 days. I'm usually there for like 1 or 2 days. This time I managed to stay over, stood overnight, stood nearby. I hanged out. I did some footage. Some of the I talked to some of the indie creators, which I always love talking to my indie fans, indie friends, because these are the guys that are really putting the effort in. They're doing new comic books. Some are some are good, some are not so good. But the truth of the matter is, at least they're out there and they're doing their thing. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
from a guy who used to do it years ago, it's not easy to try to promote yourself and then try to
it's
promote
hard.
something original too. It's
Yeah.
even harder. So
So
that that was great.
Murph, I didn't go to Terrificon this year, man. I went 2 years in a row. I couldn't make it this year. One, because I wasn't looking for anything. I didn't want to. Mohegan Sun's expensive, so if you stay
Yeah.
at Mohegan Sun, like you're looking at $600 a night, which is crazy. Plus, past couple of years, I've wanted to go and gamble after going to the show, and I didn't have time because brought my wife. We went to dinner, which is great. We love it. It was a good time, but I thought about going this year by myself and just staying overnight so I can gamble, but
Yeah,
I didn't want to
I
spend
hit
the
you up
money.
a few times. Like, come on, you coming? You coming?
Yeah,
I was actually looking for a roommate, so
yeah.
for the night, but I ended up getting a place of my own and stuff. I stood outside of Mohegan, so about 10 minutes away,
A lot,
which
a lot of people do. For me, I like if I know I'm drinking, which I'm gonna be at night, it's like I
yeah.
don't want to be driving anywhere.
Hmm.
So plus Mohegan Sun, like the first time I've been to Mohegan Sun was at Terrificon, and I thought it's a really, really nice hotel, nice casino, like very clean, which is if you go to AC and live in Jersey, forget it. It's the total opposite of that shit.
Yeah,
So
it's massive.
yeah, it's huge.
It is it's one of those things when you go there, you get to Terrificon, you kind of like in this little area it feels like that's it. But once you like walk out towards the casino and all the restaurants, it's massive. There's so much stuff going on over
Yeah.
there.
I mean, people
Uh,
bring their kids there on vacation. When I was there, I saw people there
yeah,
with their kids.
it's a
So
resort.
like, yeah, it's definitely worth a trip.
Hmm.
Especially if you're local for like a weekend. I couldn't stay there like a whole fucking week. No way.
Hmm.
But definitely
Yeah.
worth a trip. We have first question of the night from Christopher. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce your last name, but I'm just gonna call you Chris. Is it worth getting a low grade 3.0 CGC Hulk 181? He's a huge fan of Wolverine. I think if you're a huge fan of the character, no matter what the
Hmm.
grade is, brother, man, and you want to own the book, get what you could afford because let's be honest, it's about the book. It's not about the grade. I don't promote buying grades unless they're
Hmm.
modern books.
Yeah.
If you want to buy a modern book, Slab, I'm always going to say go get a 9.8 or get a raw copy. That's it. There's no in
Hmm.
between. But if you just want to own a book, get the book that you want to own.
Hmm.
If you're talking about like, if I could save a little bit more money and get a higher grade, yeah, I would say do that. Like if you want to pounce on a 3.0 now, go ahead. As long as you're happy, dude, that is the
Hmm.
only thing that matters because somebody out there is going to want to own a 3.0 Hulk 181 just like you. So
Hmm.
if you want the book, go buy it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And the other thing I would say is going low doesn't mean it's bad. In fact, it's a start. I look at it as a starting point for some people. So a lot of people they build up their book based off of the grade, and then they gradually go up on the grade. So they'll trade it off to get the higher grade. So today, let's just say today you buy a 1.8, right? You could get it at a really good price. Then tomorrow you could upscale it and get another book. So you sell that one, you pay a couple of bucks, and it's kind of like that's how you do it to get to that point that you get the grade that you want. Now the book is from the 70s, so, and of course because it's from the 70s, to find high grade copies is going to cost you a lot of bucks. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, one of my good friends, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with Lunch Money Comics. He picked up a
Yeah.
book. He picked up a Holy Grail book this over at Terrificon. I'm not going to say what it was because he's going to have the
He
video
hasn't
to
showed it
show.
yet. I saw him. I
Yeah,
met him last year at
yeah.
Terrificon, so he's a
So
good guy.
I will tell you, I what he paid for it was a great value for the book. It is a low grade book, but it is a Grail,
Mm,
and if he wants to, at another time he'll be able to upgrade it, and that's what a lot of people do. Not that many people actually just go high. They usually start it low and then they gradually build up, because
yeah.
that's the easier way of doing it.
For me
And
though, I'm not that guy. I'm the opposite of that, and I'll
You
tell you,
just get it, right?
just buy whatever you want,
Mhm,
because if you're gonna not gonna be happy with a 3.0 later on, then just
mhm.
wait, because
Yeah.
you'll always have to shell out more money
Mhm.
to buy a higher grade. So just save more money and get the grade you want and be
Yeah.
done. I don't like buying a lower grade and then getting a higher grade. I don't like to do that.
Yeah.
Usually, have I done it? Yeah. But I think at the long run, you have to sell that book first and then put more
Mhm.
money down to find the book that you want. So I just feel get
Yeah.
the book that you want to start and just go from there.
Mhm.
I just think it's easier. I think I don't know. That's the way
Yeah,
I
and
see it. I mean,
I'm with you on
yeah.
that too. And I feel the same way. Like I have a pretty banged up. I got a 6.0 Fantastic Four first appearance of Adam Warlock 67. I got that in 6.0, which is actually a pretty good grade for the book. It's signed by Stan Lee. I got it signed by Stan Lee.
Okay.
So am I going to give that book away so I could get a higher grade? Hell no. That book is staying right where it's at. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And there's a sentimental part to it, right?
Of
That's the
course. So that's
sentimental
different.
book. And
100%.
but I also have a couple of books here. I have the first Jubilee 244. I have like 3 copies of that book. Some of them are even signed. I constantly get that book over and over because I want to get a better copy of that book, because one, it's affordable to get a better copy. So it's one, it depends on the book. There's certain books that they're just way more expensive and they're out of my price range, and there's books that are within my price range. So it everybody collects the way they need to collect. They don't need to collect because someone else tells them how to collect. The minute they do
No,
that, I
but
think it
I
becomes
do believe that
problematic.
people I agree, but I do believe that there are people who need to be guided a little bit. Like I know
Yes.
people who just buy fucking variants and now they're pissed off that they spent all this money on this shit. But to each his own. If you want that,
Yeah.
go ahead. He's right in that fact. Like if you're happy doing it, fine.
Yeah.
But if you end up not being happy about it, then at least maybe just talk to someone first before you do something if you're not too sure.
Yeah.
But I just want to get caught up in the chat. Murph says maybe next year, King Khan. Absolutely. I'm planning on going. I was supposed to go last year and then I had something come up. And MJ said he's coming to the States. Now I know he told me this at some point,
Ooh, when's
like
this
a few
happen,
months ago.
MJ?
Yeah, it all depends where you're going, brother. That's like I
Yeah.
know you spoke to me about going to a couple different places. So if you come
Mhm.
to New York, New Jersey, that would be fantastic.
We
But it
will be
depends
there.
when. Yeah, it depends when you are and what you're coming for. Like
Yeah.
this will lead into one thing before we go any further is like again, the link is in the description and the link is in the chat that I've pinned. If anybody else wants to hop on the stream
Mhm.
with us and just talk, come on board. Let's have a good conversation. And I keep putting up a thing up. If you have questions,
Mhm.
drop it in the chat as well. But leads us into New York Comic Con. All right. So I
Yep.
was not going to go this year. I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, you know what? I'm not looking for any comics. Like last year, I ended up leaving by 12:30. No joke, because it was
Yeah.
like so fucking packed. They had nothing really going on. I did a
Mhm.
bunch of interviews and stuff, which was great. But after that, I'm like, why am I here? Like, it
You
was
did your
just too much.
reporting, I remember.
Yeah, there's just too much fluff. So, but I did decide to get tickets for Friday. So I'm gonna go by myself this year. I'm not bringing the kid. So if I do any recording, it'll just be me.
Mhm.
But MJ, if you want to come up like to New York for New York Comic Con next year, I think that's like you can make it a weekend thing because that's a huge show. I'm not saying it's totally comic focused because it's not. It really is not.
No.
But I know you talked about possibly coming up for a couple other cons. King Con is a 1 day show that's really great in this area as well, but it's
Mhm.
it's a 1 day thing, and to make that trip for 1 day would be insane.
Yeah, to come to King Con, it is King Con's one of those. It's a show, right?
Yeah,
It's a show in the sense of we're selling comics, like the Elite Comic Con.
yeah.
I don't even know what they call their show.
Elite Expo.
The Elite Expo. It's an expo show. Um, but so those are places, and I know for the Elite one, people were coming from different parts of the country.
Oh yeah, from
Um,
people. A bunch of people came from
yeah,
California.
a lot of
Bronson
people are
Modern
coming.
Gods came. Yeah.
And I know this coming year, next year, they got some pretty good guests lined up already.
Jim
Um,
Lee. Jim
Jim
Lee's
Lee.
coming next.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, there's
That's
only
a
going to
good.
be this Sunday. That's a
It's gonna be
huge get.
Sunday.
It's a
Oh, for
huge
a show
get because
like that, yes, definitely. For a show like that, definitely, because it's one of those things that you could actually meet them, as opposed to like going to New York Comic Con where you might have to buy a ticket, and
yeah,
you probably got like 5 seconds to get what you got to get, and you got to probably pay $300 to get one signature. I think that's awesome that they were able to grab Jim Lee. Um, so if you do a show like King Kong, like Elite, expect to do other things because the day will be awesome. You're gonna get good books, I'm sure of it, and then you get to enjoy the rest of the city or the rest of wherever you're going. New York Comic Con for me, I'm definitely there. I already got my approval, so I'll be there all 4 days, and then the following week is Baltimore, which is gonna kill me because I got to figure out where the money's gonna go. Chances are the money's gonna go to Baltimore at the end of the day, but I'll probably end up getting books to flip in New York to get money for Baltimore. Because as you probably already know, New York will have books that people are going to go crazy to get. And if I could get them for $20 and then flip it for 100, I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Something happened to my fucking screen and my mouse is not really working now, so I don't know what the fuck is going on with this stupid thing. But I digress.
They're not Campbell. They're not. Good try. They're not going
Yeah,
to stop that. That's something that makes money. So it's not going to end. Con exclusives are not going to end.
100%, 100%. So
Mhm.
a couple other people in the chat, Camp Bell, and I wish I could show it, but my mouse is acting all fucking stupid. So I don't know. It's left clicking and it's giving me the right the right click after I click it. So I don't know what the hell's going
Oh.
on. But yeah. So either way,
Mhm.
he says, when are they going to cut down on the con exclusive books? I don't know, dude.
It's not happening.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
It's not happening. The companies make money off of it. The 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 retailers make money off it. The cons actually do make money off of it as well because if you find out a book is exclusive at a con, that means the con will be like, oh, we'll get more people to come into the show for that con exclusive. Um, let's be honest, with something like New York Comic Con, a lot of people don't even know this. It's not just the comic books. You got the Funkos. I think they were selling sneakers last year. I think like that. There was some kicks that was part of it. There's a lot going on with New York Comic Con. So the con exclusive, that ain't going away anytime soon. It's just not.
Yeah, unfortunately, I agree. I'm not a huge fan of that shit. When I go there, dude, I remember the one year I went on a Thursday and I could not get around the fucking corner just to walk around the show because the line was like wrapping around tables, which I
Yeah.
thought was insane. So that's the one thing I don't like. It's become, a big fluff event where there's not a lot of,
It's a zoo.
interesting things. Yeah, it's a zoo, but like it's nonsense because
Mhm.
the vendors, there's a lot of nonsense. Like outside of the comics, right? There's a lot of comics, a lot of the great things to see. Don't get me wrong, a lot of amazing books. I try to showcase that every year when I do videos. But
Mhm.
like, there's so much other tables that are just pure BS that I'm like, who's going there to buy like fake weapons? Like I don't I see that shit every year. I'm like, what the fuck is this? There's
Well, those
people
are for the
going there.
cosplayers, right?
I don't know, man. There's like weaponry. There's like a whole back part of the show that's like they have like computers set up where people are gaming. Like
Mhm.
I don't know why I would want to go to a show to do that, but to each his own, right?
Mhm. Yeah, to each his own. And they are, going back to the question that I see, but do you think they should be limited? They're gonna be limited because that's what get people excited. So they're gonna make them limited. They get, the way the system works is that they'll actually say it's limited to 300, limited to 1,000, and they're usually gone by like the first day. If the book is really hot, they're gone by that first day. Um, but yeah, I'm with you with the all the stuff that could happen in New York Comic Con. That's why I'm kind of looking forward to Baltimore because I really enjoyed doing Baltimore. But with New York Comic Con, what I enjoyed last year, so I went in last year as press, and I managed to get an interview with Kirkman. I was talking to a couple of editors from different publishers. I was talking to PSA before the slabs came out. They were showing the updated slab at that time, so I had to talk to them. I had some conversations with the guys from CGC. That's the kind of stuff I enjoy when going to a Comic Con, being able to talk to people about what their upcoming projects are. Um, Expectations that are happening, what's being said in for the future. You already know wrestling's part of it, and my girls, they're all into the anime manga thing, so that's part of it. And next week is Anime NYC, so I'll be in the Javits Center there. I'm not gonna enjoy that one. I don't enjoy, but I'll be there. But I think for that one, for New York Comic Con as well as San Diego, I think it's more about the news and the panels. I actually enjoy the panels, and the panels sometimes they give away comic books, and those are the ones that actually become the hot books from the con. So if everybody wants to get an exclusive, that's something. The panels are the ones that you get the books that people want to grab if people want to grab books. Those are like the ash cans and stuff like that. Overall, it's I enjoy it. If I get burned out like by day two, I'm like done and I'm toast, but I'm still there all 4 days. It happens once a year in New York. I'm happy it happens once a year. I'm happy that it doesn't happen twice a year because I'll lose my mind. But it is an experience. If you've never been to New York Comic Con, I will say it is an experience unlike any other. With a comparison to San Diego, I have not yet been to San Diego, so I don't know what the comparison is. I do know that the difference between New York and San Diego is everywhere. The con is literally the city. In New
Yeah.
York, the con is the Javits Center. That's the difference. So, like Mickey mentioned that to me. It's like, oh yeah, once you get out of New York, you're actually in New York. But once you're out of San Diego, you're still in San Diego Comic Con. So I'm curious to see how that looks. Hey, what's up, Darth Lopez?
Darth, what's going on? I would have highlighted your comment, but my mouse is something going on. There is a link if anybody wants to join in tonight. We're just kind of talking about stuff, but like I said, my fucking mouse is not left clicking; it's only right clicking all of a sudden. So I don't know what the fuck is going on, but
That's a question.
yeah, I
So
have no I fucking deal here. But Campbell says, "Did you guys think PSA will give CGC a run for their money?" And normally I'd highlight this stuff, but like I said, my mouse is not working here.
okay. I got my answer, but I want to hear from you first.
I think that, be honest with you, you're seeing all these people sending stuff right now to PSA, and I think that everybody wants to try. And the
Mhm.
fact that PSA is giving out, PSA 10s now is having people send like books that may look really, really good into them. It's a good thing for PSA, 100%. There's no question in my mind. But it's a crapshoot. I have no idea. PSA has a lot of firepower. Let's put it
Mhm.
that way. And I do think they've already taken that number 2 spot. They've been
Oh yeah.
open what, like a couple of weeks. So like I'm seeing a lot more PSA slabs right now. It's a novelty for everybody. I actually
Mhm.
did send something into them. So we'll see when I get that back.
Yep.
If how that turns out. But I've heard nothing but positive things. I saw Swag put out something today about maybe maybe a mislabeling. I don't know if we want to call it that, but like
Yeah.
they label the Spider-Man 2099 the first appearance. So if there's a little bit of back and forth if that's a first appearance or not. My bigger issue is why is anybody grading a Spider-Man 2099 number one? It's like a fucking $10 book.
It really is.
So I had a bigger issue with that than anything because it was like you're spending $25 minimum to grade that book. Okay, it's a 10. Phenomenal. There's got to be so many 10s of that book because of the cover, because of the stock.
It's a
So
cardstock cover
yeah,
and stuff like that.
yeah,
Um, the more I look at the PSA label, the more it grows on me. I don't love it. I, but I no longer hate it. If that makes sense.
yeah,
Um, I also am on the notion of CGC needs competition, like real competition, so that they could get better. The fact is that when you have real competition, it forces you to be better. We say that about comic books, we say that about wrestling, we say about that about pretty much anything. When there's competition, you have to put in your A game. And I think what PSA is doing is that this is the early stages, man. Everybody's happy when they see a new baby, right? New baby's cute. It's when that baby comes through the terrible twos that nobody wants to be around that baby. That's the reality of it, right?
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I guess.
you know what I'm saying? So I think right now it's the new kid on the block. People are trying it out. The real question is what's going to be its lasting power within a year, within 2 years. And more importantly, will CGC and CBCS, for that matter, will they take this opportunity to be a better product in that way? You know what I'm saying? So I think, for what it's worth, the whole grading thing, the tens are suspiciable to me. I think that's suspiciable. Like, it's like, really, you're just handing out tens like nothing. Um, but
It's not like they're handing 9.9s out on Bronze Age books like CGC
yeah,
did, like, so they're
yeah,
doing it on modern books for the most part. I'll call it
mhm,
like copper modern too, because that's
yeah.
basically when there's a lot
Well,
of
people
copies
start
out there that,
maintaining their books at that time. Yeah,
yeah,
by
I
that
mean,
time, people starting to take care.
so
So
I don't know.
yeah, it is weird. It's, again, it's when we start seeing an overflow of it. After a while, will it look like that? Um, it took a long time for some books to get to that 9.9 status or that number 10 status. And it looks like here it's just happening. But I think, like you said, it's modern books. Some books are brand new that they are 10. Sometimes they just get sent before they even get touched. They're not even touched before they get to them. So there's a lot of factors in play with that. I honestly think it has everything to do with the customer service, the durability of the slab itself, and of course, if it's presentable, if it looks good. Like I said, it's been growing on me. I don't hate it. I don't hate that label. I do wish there
Yeah,
was a way, like, I know for signature they don't have a signature series, which that part I kind of don't like. I would have liked if they would have done something different. um like, make it so I know it's a signature book rather than, oh, it's a signature. And that's kind of where it's at right now with that. So that's the one thing I don't like. So I like my yellow label.
yeah, I agree with you.
Hmm.
So it is what it is. Like I said, it's going to be a very big novelty for a while, and then we'll kind of see if people tend to go that route. But I think with Copper Modern right now, people are starting to send those books there because they may have a chance of getting that 10, and that's what people really want. And again, it's a new service, so people are going to try it. We're going to see what
Yeah.
exactly happens. So
Hmm. Oh,
it
and
is
their
what it is.
sales are insane. What's going on with some of those eBay sales? Like, and they're taking advantage. This is the first of its kind. Like, and it's like,
It's
okay.
good though. It's a good thing. We're going to see what happens. Like, you want competition, you want to see other companies do well, but we'll see how well they do. Like, I'm rooting for them. Not everybody's going to agree what they do, but it can't hurt. I mean, everyone's saying like this company's going to come out and force CGC to do the right thing. CGC is not going to change their fucking ways.
Mhm.
It's not happening, folks. It's
They've
not
been at it for
happening.
a
Trust me.
long time now.
Yep, nothing is gonna change. It's gonna be the same shit you see. It's gonna be the same shit. The only thing
Mhm.
that may change is if PSA really starts to take over, then maybe you see something. Then like a desperation heave,
Yeah.
like a Hail Mary. That's it.
So what's gonna end up happening, if it ends up like this, what's going to end up happening is that what CGC is going to see is they're going to see less and less books coming to them. I'm sure they're looking at how many books are coming in, how many books are being submitted. If they see a large percentage going away, that's the time for them to say we need to do something new. What it is exactly, I don't know, because it ain't pricing, because that's not changing. They just upped their prices not that long ago, and they're probably, what, every 6 months they change their prices, so chances are it's time for it to happen again. Um, so that's something. The pricing structure, is the pricing going to be working? Are there going to be deals? This is something we've never seen before, like actual deals, like give me 5 books, we'll grade one for free. Things like that. I think that's something that's really cool. That would be something that'd be nice to see coming from them. Or, I know they do the special, what is it, the 10 for 10 thing I think they did a little while ago, which I think ended up getting some hype when they did it. So more things like that will bring their business in, where PSA is just PSA right now. We're like, this is who we are, this is what we're doing. Do you like us?
Yeah.
you know What's up, Black Spiders?
Yeah. So a lot of people I'd like to say hello to in the chat, but my mouse is just fucking being a fucking cunt right now, so I can't really do much.
Do
It's
you think
only
it's a
it's
battery or something like that? It needs to be
I'm ch-
charged?
I'm I'm charging it as you speak. So like I don't know, like why can I only right click and I can't left click? I have no idea. It makes no fucking sense. So, and I've gone into the settings. The settings are right. So
Yeah. Uh,
no fucking idea.
well,
Regardless,
Welcome to
Darth
the
says
live
he's
stream, everybody.
yeah. Darth says he's done with grading. I don't blame you, brother. I haven't sent a book in about 2 years, and I just wanted to try PSA out, and I sent them something unique. So it's not like something that everyone else was going to send to them. It's something very unique. They said they would do it. So we're going to see when it comes back. I have a feeling I'm going to be pleasantly surprised, but who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
I want to say hello to Black Spiders in the chat. What's going on? He said, "What's up, my dudes?" Izzy, everyone in the chat. He says hello. Hopefully I'll get that mouse back and I can show some stuff. There is a link in the thing to join tonight, but I don't even know if I'm able to click it. You could try to get in, but
I know, right?
So Izzy got lucky. He got in quick, but you know,
I got in early. I was like, yeah,
when my mouse
Lawrence, I'll jump in early.
When my mouse was working, but yeah, I'm trying to remember what I had on my notes here to go talk about. But we talked about
the real question is, will you be able to end this stream?
I'll shut the whole fucking computer down if I have to. Like, I'll just hold the button and that's gonna be it, and the whole thing will just shut down.
Oh, man.
But we talked about Sticky's video today a little bit. I highlighted that about the dress up. I thought that was pretty funny. I was shocked he kind of went that route again after all that stuff, but it definitely was a comical. I'll give him that.
He's definitely one of those guys that he says one thing and something else happens. Like, he was selling his collection this week. I saw that video. I saw that he was like, "I'm getting rid of everything." I'm like, okay, you know.
Well,
like
the one thing is this: when we and him had a chat, we talked about you need a good cleanse sometimes, man. I did that early on, like a couple years back. I cleansed a lot of my shit. It's like, just keep the stuff that you want to keep and then get rid of the rest. I'm telling you, you will feel so much better just lightening your load. And I still think it's a good move. So that's good. But I don't want to spend too much time on that. I did want to talk about the podcast. So if you watch the Mighty Rewind podcast, or you see at the bottom of the screen, go subscribe on that channel. So Darth, he's backstage. I would love to add him to the fucking stream. So I'm gonna try to do this, but
Let's see if we get Darth in there.
Hey,
he made it. What's up, dude?
There you go. What up, bro? I got because my wife's working a double, so I'm with my boy, so that's why I'm not on camera. I just wanted to come on, see if your shit was working, bro.
Yeah, I unplugged it and I got one click to work. So there you go, you're on. But back to what I was saying. I didn't mean to cut you off, but let me just finish my thought before I forget. Okay. The podcast. If you're not subbed up to the podcast's own channel, do yourself a favor. Just go sub to that later, because eventually all that stuff is going to be on that channel. Right now, I'm leaving it on Mighty Comics and Collectibles because I want people to be aware of it. So just, be aware. But I wanted to ask you guys and everyone out there watching or listening now, is there anybody that you want me to have on the show? I have like 6 videos that nobody's even seen yet that I've had they're backstage. But drop it down in the chat. If anybody, it could be like companies, it could be a community member, it could be, anything revolving collecting. Drop it down. I'll see if I can get them on if it's somebody people are interested.
Yeah. Darth, since you're in, you're thinking?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think he's interviewed everybody in our bubble on the level of his subscribers. So I'm trying to think the middle tier and then the lower tier. Have you ever messed with Brian McCray?
So me and Brian were talking. He was going to come on and talk about Garbage Pail Kids, but it was like right before Heroes Con, and he told me he would reach out when he got back. I sent him a message, and I think he forgot about me. So eventually, we're going to get on and talk about Garbage Pail Kids. I know he's a big GPK guy, as am I. So I think we'd have a good conversation about that.
Yeah,
we did talk. So Murph.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't really do the CGC stuff. You had Swaggle. By the way, the Swaggle interviews were dope, bro. Yeah, those have been my favorite.
He's a good dude. We had a conversation about opening up about, the shit that makes us collectors, and it was a really good conversation. It was an hour, so I kind of broke it up into 2, and then the last one was like a 5-minute one. But like we had a really good deep conversation. We could have kept going, but like I felt like it could have been like 2 hours, and nobody would probably listen to that point.
Well, it's a podcast.
Oh,
a podcast is different.
I would have.
Yeah, when you deal with a podcast,
it flowed.
You could do long format.
So do you want?
It flowed, bro. It was easy to watch, dude. It was really easy to watch. It was a good conversation. It got a little deep. It was layered. I enjoyed it. I was like, oh man, I wish you would have just dropped the whole thing, because I was at work. I have time at work. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh, dude, this is pretty good. And then when it was over, I was like, come on, dude.
I feel like like when it gets too long, people stop listening. But if you're telling me the opposite, that people like the longer form content, I'll leave it as one. Like, 'cause me and Sticky have, everybody has two so far because they've gone like over an hour, and I feel like
Yeah.
that's too long. So like you're going to start to see other people who I've done
Yeah.
already come back on, but it's all the same interview. We just talk about different
Yeah.
things.
So
But
Lawrence, quick
yeah.
question about the podcast. So the podcast, you're housing it in YouTube, is that correct? Or you're housing it
Yeah.
in other platforms?
For right
Because
now, it's just YouTube.
okay, because when you house it in like a Spotify or an actual
Yeah.
podcast, then you're gonna get you like long format. So
Yeah.
that's what I've learned about podcasts in general. I'm looking at all the people are saying to do, like
Yeah.
I know a couple of people. Comic Journey
So,
he's been away from the game for a little while, man. My man.
He's right. Yeah. He's
He's in a little
yeah.
hiatus period. K-pop Junkie, she's awesome.
I don't know who
Yeah.
K-pop is. I got to check who that is.
She's
Beyond
awesome.
Wednesdays, I would love to talk
Yeah.
to them.
Mhm.
Like I said, I talked to McClay a little bit. Manu, I already talked to him. He's going to come on at some point. Was just working out the schedule because he's busy, and I want to get him on where we can have a good, fun conversation. But Personal Defects is two guys that I was going to reach out to because I know both of them. And
Butcher.
the Butcher and Maddie. I want to. They've been MIA. They've kind of gone away from YouTube and doing their own thing. I'd really like to talk to them about YouTube and about comics and everything else. I think they'd be a good interview. It's just kind of getting them both at the same time to come on with me, but I may reach out to them. That's a good one. So anyone else you guys want to see, definitely, I was going to say, even companies, I do have a couple of companies that are going to come on in the comic business. One is already agreed to. It's a bigger company. We're just working on scheduling on when we can actually do it. But if any other, like I know CGC is not coming on the fucking podcast. I already know that. But like,
there's certain individuals you're able to talk to, though. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you offline. There are a few that you probably get a hold of, and that's
the Butcher would be good, dude. Because like when I started my Crash Out channel, we would conversate on IG, and I told him, I go, hey, you're, because I used to watch him back in the day, and I was like, yo, dude, you gonna come back? He's like, nah, dude, I'm done with all that and stuff. So I was like, all right, cool.
So MJ says he listens on YouTube Music. So it is like an actual podcast. You don't have to actually watch the video. There is like a thing, you just collect the podcast and you can listen to it. Angry Straight White Male says, just like his Wang, it needs to be long, which I don't disagree with that. But all right. So I'm taking the criticisms and we'll run for it. Like I said, I have somebody coming on this week who's right now we're talking to. So he's going to come on. We're going to talk about something. Don't spoil it.
Yeah, no.
Don't spoil it. But he's going to come on. We're going to talk about something that has nothing to do with comics, but it's something that we both grew up on that I think plays a role into pop culture. So don't spoil it, though.
Absolutely. I'll be the smallest channel you have. That's awesome.
It's not about channels. It's about the conversation, right? What could we talk about?
Yes, exactly.
So if it's a good conversation, that's all that matters.
Yeah, and I think it will be.
So,
because
Murph, well, you said Gary might be a fun He-Man interview. Who's Gary?
Are you referring to Very Gary?
Oh, okay.
Very Gary?
Yeah. All right.
Because I was thinking about Gary because you don't get to see him do these types of things. So it's all based on the fact of his availability. E-Rod's another one.
What's the dude I used to watch? Reggie, man.
Reggie Collects.
You ever thought about maybe? Yeah, I mean, I know I don't watch him anymore, but I used to. He's like way back in the day. Now. Yeah. That'd be interesting because he kind of like
it's not just about who you have on, it's what you talk about. That's the thing. Like what made Swag just a good guess is what we talked about because of his personal story that he shared, the personal story that I shared. That's what made it a good video. I got the Sports Card Dad, which is coming out in a couple weeks. We had such a good fucking conversation about, because I didn't even know he collects Masters of the Universe. I don't want to spoil the video, but the podcast, but we talked about everything from sports to collecting. It was such a good, entertaining, podcast. It's not about who you have on. It's really about what you're talking about, which makes it good. I like to have somebody who's hysterical on because I would really like to break balls with somebody.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I think one of the benefits of interviews is you start with your questioning, right, as an interviewer, but then you go out the box into discussion, and it's no longer an interview. It just happens to be a discussion of two people that share some same interest, which
Yeah.
started in this realm. It starts from comic books, but it goes outside the box of comic books. And that's where it becomes really interesting, and that's where people really get engaged with it because they want to hear the story that someone has to share with. Because everybody got a story. It's just a matter of some people don't know how
Yeah.
to don't know how to share that story, um,
Yeah.
and things like that. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned,
Well,
interview as many people as you could probably get. You'll be surprised at all the people you're gonna get because they're out there and they will
Yeah.
interview.
It's I've reached out to a couple of dealers and they're a little skeptical about coming on.
Mhm.
But especially one big one I would have loved to have because he's been in the game and he has such a good story from how he started into where he is now. I don't want to say his name, but like it would have been such a great interview, but he says he's too busy to do it. So it is what it is. I get it. It's not for everybody, but I think it's good to hear people's how they kind of came up on the whole situation. Like that's why I think that interview with Swag was so good. Other people as well.
hmm
Like if you get a good like how they did it, where they started, what made them to what they do. That's the whole thing. Like, and again, we could talk about like Nintendo, we could talk about whatever. It doesn't really matter what it is. It's just about your feelings towards something is what makes it good. At least that's my opinion.
but let me ask you guys a question because this is where we're not going to talk about, and I was going to do a video on it, and you know, I think you'd be. Well, I know mine is big channel. I'm not. I think Izzy too. So my question would be to you, and we've had these conversations before, Mighty. Do you guys think that growth in this in our bubble of the comic book, whatever you want to call it, multiverse bubble community, is dead in the water? Like my personal opinion, I think it is. I think like the level that you guys are on, Swaggle, Sticky, those 10,000 plus. I think for channels that are trying to get there, I think it's a wrap. I think it's done. What do you guys think?
You
I
want me to
agree.
answer it?
I know. Let me go first, and because
Yeah,
I have
go
a
for it.
strong feeling on this. That's why you've kind of seen my channel go from just comics really to other things because the comic space for YouTube, and I talked about it with Swag for like 5-10 minutes on that video, is that like,
Hmm
there's only so much growth that can occur because a lot of people are tired of the same content, especially comic book content. So
hmm
I think you need to have a plethora of things that you talk about, and that's what he said when we were talking. Like you have to have like a section on the Motu, like I do, a section on the comics, a section or whatever. So you have like a well-rounded thing. Every video you make is not going to get great, views, but every once in a while you have something that someone wants to hear or listen to and it'll take off. That's what happened with me with the Master Universe. That's how I got to 20,000 because I literally got like 11,000 subs just from those videos. It's the comic stuff is only going to get you so far, right?
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, and
100%.
to piggyback off of that one is we're such a niche group because you're talking
hmm
about. I'm going to be honest, and I might be wrong, but I might be right. It's a whole bunch of middle-aged men,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, we
And
are.
that
Yes,
doesn't
we
mean that
are.
there are people younger, there's women and things like that. But if you look at your analytics, you'll know that, right? You'll see it. It's there.
hmm
Um, I think what ends up happening is what happens to everybody. There's people you watch after a certain time period, you stop watching them. And no matter how good they are, it
hmm
just it's
Yeah.
like television series, right? How many TV series you started and then never finished, right? Um, it's the same thing. I think what ends up happening is that we need, we content creators I'm referring to have to find things that one we enjoy doing it because it comes out. If you're not enjoying it, it's gonna come out and they're gonna look at you like, oh yeah, this guy's not having fun, so why am I watching it?
Yeah.
And it becomes a chore. But then at the same time is what is it that you bring to the table that that other guy doesn't bring sometimes? And
Exactly.
that's where we seem to we all like the same things and we all seem to talk about the same things, but we're all kind of like doing the same thing. So why do I need to see that guy? He does
Right.
it. This guy does it better. That guy does it better than that guy, and that guy does it better than that guy. To the point that the other guy is like gone. But to the smaller channels, I say keep going at it. You know what I mean? Because I think it's
Well,
worth
if I
growing.
may, because my bad, even with me, like, well, we know how it started. So, but I always had the mindset, and I talked about this with with Mighty, like I always knew that my channel wasn't for growth. It was for what it was. It was for
Mhm.
fun. But I always knew that everything, the whole space is taken, and we're fickle. And and I think I don't want to say cloud chasing. I think that besides Mighty, and I can't really name anybody else, and with that level of subscribers, they're not coming down and sharing with others smaller channels. There's really no mingling. There's clicks. I think Izzy, right? Because you're with Legion. I'm not saying you guys are a clique, but that's a group
Yeah,
of
we're
friends.
good
So this
friends.
group of friends,
But here's
right? And so go
no,
ahead.
I was gonna say I get what you're saying, but my thing is that I don't know. I haven't experienced that, so I can't speak for everybody, right? I haven't experienced that. The one thing I'm gonna say is this: is like everybody's doing the same fucking content. Everybody, you're all doing hot.
Yes.
That's the problem. That's why I try to do something else now, like the podcast, do whatever. Like yes, other people like when I do the pod, I don't mean it for being an interview sometimes because that's not really what I want. I just want to have a conversation and talk to somebody. But at the same time, like if we're all doing the same shit, you're never gonna get growth. That's the thing. And like what you're
No.
saying about people like, not sharing information or not letting you on the channel. I mean, I think that's insane because I started like it took me like 4 years to get to fucking 2,000 subs, bro. And I'm doing this for 7. So that's my whole point. Like just keep
Yeah.
going. If just you that here's the thing, you
Yeah.
have to get better. Whoever puts out content, if you're not willing to get better, then it's never going to go anywhere. Like that's the thing. If you're not always like pushing
Correct.
yourself,
All right.
but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, comic content is only going to get you
Yeah.
a
The
certain,
Also,
space is, bro. What am I?
certain
What?
far. Yeah.
you can
That's what's
only talk
me.
about ASM 129.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How often?
Yeah. And then
Exactly.
here's the thing. Like, I'm not into like Silver Age. I'm not into gold. I'm 48. I was out of hobby for 30 years. So when I came back, it's whatever copper, and I'm a modern guy. And dude, that space is taken. And I don't really have the desire to do it.
What's up,
And
Cos
I
Rob?
think that it's being done better than I could. And that's why I'm not going to say what I'm doing, but I just jumped out to space
Mhm.
because I want to see what the growth is over there. And it's interesting to see the the amount of views I've gotten. And I'm like, well, whatever, right? But like over here, like I know and I knew beforehand, I can't like there's only a lane I could do. And even that lane, I get tired because it's not offering anybody anything.
Yeah.
And so then I tried to say, well, my interviews just they're not in it. The only 2 interviews I've thought I've had that I were actually pretty good has been with Mighty, with Circumstance, and what I just had with Bleeker that I think that went well. There was actual good conversation. The rest is me and our buddies just hanging out
Mhm.
because we're all in the same bubble or group and we're
Yeah.
just shooting the shit.
Yeah.
And
You're
I says,
having a
okay,
Zoom meeting. You're having a Zoom meeting in public. That's what you do.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
Well, let's be
modern
honest.
is
That's what it
taken.
is.
Right, exactly. Top tens are taken. I don't want to do that. I don't
Well,
want to
here's the
do
thing.
FOC because it's done, you know?
You're right. But here's the thing. Put your own twist on it. That's the whole thing. When I started doing the hot 10, which I told you guys, I don't even want to do it anymore, but so many people want me to do it, so I keep doing it. You got to put your own twist on it. If you put your own twist on it that nobody else is doing and make it your own, that's how you get away with it. But you're right. Come up with something totally different. That I agree with you. That you're the only person doing it. It may take you a while to think about what that is and to get it going, but that's where I think no one else is expanding into the unknown. What's that unknown thing that's going to separate my channel from everyone else? There's one thing I want to mention. Murph says you should have the Comic-Con podcast on. I listen to them all the time. I think they do a great job. The issue is they talk a lot of modern stuff. They read a lot of stuff, which I don't. So I've
Oh,
met them both. Nemesis, for some reason, I don't think he likes me that much, which is
No,
fine.
that's just that's just how he is, man. Lawrence, don't even sweat it.
I got one.
He's
I
just
got
like
one.
that,
I got
man.
one.
But Zach is,
The,
I met him at Terrificon last year. He's such
Yeah,
a good dude. So like, I would still love to have them on. It's just about
yeah.
something we got to talk about.
Dustin's
I
a good
got
guy,
somebody.
though. He's a good guy.
I got somebody, and they're actually the reason I started reading indie books. And I've been listening to them for like 16 years, dude. Fanboy. Does
I
anybody
don't even.
know they,
I've heard
bro,
of
dude,
iFanboy.
Mighty?
They've
They're
been around too, haven't they?
yes, bro. Yes, to me they
I
are,
fanboy.
bro. Yes, look them up. They actually were doing the classic, a literal podcast.
Mhm.
I used to hear them at work. I used to hear them and Comic Tom's Bag and Board. That's when I appreciated Tom the most. when
I agree with you.
through a podcast that he was like, oh man, him and the other guy, oh man, this is it. Now this is it, Tom. But iFanboy, they've been around 17 years, bro. They recently went back. They're my goats, right? I like to say I have goats and all that. I like to pay homage, respect. And so to me, they've been around 17 years. It's a true form of podcasting where they weren't, it was podcasting. They recently came back to YouTube, and they were the only guys before you and McClay and others that I was Patreon, right? With their Patreon, you guys just whatever it is, which I'm down for. To me, they're legends, bro. They've been around a long time, and these dudes read. Like they read. They do a weekly show of all the books that they read. They have a pick of the week. They've been doing it for years, and these dudes know comics. Yeah. There's a lot of people in this space that know it, but these dudes could go all the way back to runs that I think that some of us have read, some of us haven't. To me, they're goated, and I don't know. Maybe it's a shot. I know they know me because the Dark Focus thing is kind of unique. Or you could just reach out, bro. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know.
That's just Justin, man. Justin's just one of those guys, man.
I don't know. I've seen him a bunch at cons, and we like stand right next to each other and don't say a word to each other. I feel like it's weird.
That's how he is. It's one of those weird things that I get that I got that from him from Terrific as well. It's like that's just him. You know?
Yeah, he's the McClay guy.
He's cool, though.
I think he's a Furbird. Furbird, I know that. I know the name. And I think he's been on McClay multiple times.
Furbird, the nerd?
Yeah, I know Furbird. Furbird actually, I don't want to exaggerate, but Furbird reached out when I went through some whatever, and he gave me a spot to hang out. I'll always have love for that dude. Yeah, shout out to Furbird.
I want to say that if anyone else wants to jump on, because my mouse seems to be working now, so if you want to come on and just talk, yeah, the link is in the chat, is also in the description. I have no agenda tonight. I have a couple things I want to talk about besides like the podcast, but like it's only been an hour, so I could be on for a bit. So if anyone wants to come on, they're more than welcome. Or like I said before, drop questions in the thing. Let me know who you want me to have on the podcast.
What's up,
how about any like bigger companies? I do have a couple of people, like I said, they're going to come on. Like big, I also have some smaller creators that have reached out to me about coming on. I just need to familiarize myself with their work. Yeah, because I don't want to get on there and be like, I have no idea what they do.
So from my experience, because I started with interviews. So when I started my channel, I did it with interviews, and the interviews were great. I got some really good interviews when I started. But one thing that was hard was trying to get more and more people, because when I started, I wasn't part of a community just yet. I was, just Izzy coming and I was contacting, creators and stuff like that. Scott Hanna, Jim Valentino, and I spoke to a lot of people during that time. Kofam was another one. He was my first one, and that was cool. But then after a while, it got challenging. You know what I mean? It was challenging to reach out to people. And at the same time, what I was finding out and I was learning very quickly was that a lot of those guys say the same thing in every one of their streams. So you want to get somebody that's going to be fresh, somebody that's going to, talk out of their heart instead of just trying to do their next promo.
Exactly.
Utilize the next promo. So one of the things I learned when I started being part of a community was being part of a group of individuals, like you said, Legion, Mark. But it goes beyond Mark. I got a chance to meet a couple of people. Lawrence, we met a few years ago and stuff like that. And you just expand. You just continue to expand your growth. You grow because you start knowing people. But another thing I also learned is that just because you're friends doesn't mean you watch each other's content.
Yeah,
100%. I agree, right? So hold on.
Casually Comics.
I'm being honest.
Casually Comics.
Yeah,
Derek,
200,000 subscribers.
Read my mind, Derek. I saw we've had exchanged some, messages before, me and Thorough, because we're both big Knicks fans. So I actually thought about that, but I don't know if he would come on. I would love to see. I've said this before. It's not about who I have on. It's what we're talking about. And I'd want to talk to him about everything that happened. Same with I would love to have Tom on and talk about the stuff that he went through early on with YouTube, during COVID and all that other shit, because I find the topic to be more fascinating than the person that I'm that I'm speaking with. That to me is like, I would love to get Thor on. I think we'd have a great conversation. I've reached out a couple other people along the same lines and have waiting for responses because
Yeah.
not
Dude,
everybody
I think
responds right away.
I
No.
think he, I think he. It looks like to me he's done, bro. Because I think the last I follow him on Instagram, and I don't be on Instagram like I used to, and I think he went religious.
I think
Like he went
he's always
Oh,
been
okay.
religious. He's
But
always been
before I
religious.
forget, over 200,000 subscribers, up to 300 in her live. To me, she's like the biggest in our space. That's Casually Comics in Canada. Like I don't even comment when I watch her live because I don't even feel I fit in with other people in her chat. Like she's big, bro.
She's
And
big. You got Comic Drake's another one.
See,
But
I don't
again,
know Comic Drake.
what are we talking about? Like I could have these people on. That's my thing. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, sit there and just like, oh, how'd you do this? How'd you? I think that's boring. Nobody wants to hear that shit. I want to talk about a topic. Like I'm having Darth on. I'm having Darth on next week. We're talking about a specific topic. So it's like,
yes,
okay.
that's true.
So
That's
when
it's
it
got to be
comes
about
to
the topic.
those, so when it comes to those that are like 100K and higher, you got to be cautious because one, they're part of an organization now. It's not one person you're involved with. You're talking about a person that says, okay, what's the benefit for me for doing your channel? And they're looking at it for an ROI, right? What's the return on investment kind of thing? And I get that, right? And I think that's, to a certain extent, we're all kind of doing that in a way, right? There are some people in the sphere, Comic Tropes, Chris happens to be one of them, who are genuinely into the hobby. And not just the hobby, like you said, Masters of the Universe, talking about other things like that.
Well,
so there's people like that. The only thing is that some of them are not exactly in the comic sphere. They do comic content, but they're not really into it.
Here's the thing: it's my channel's not just comics. That's the whole thing. Like, so like my ultimate get, who I've reached out to many times, is Pixel Dan. I don't know if anybody knows who Pixel Dan is. He is a big
I know the name.
Toy YouTuber, but he's also one of the biggest Masters Universe fans of all time. And I think me and him would have a phenomenal conversation, but he's got like 400,000 subscribers. He's a big YouTuber. He wrestles as well. So that's another guy I would love to talk to him about part-time. So like he's to me is the ultimate get for me because that's like the guy that I really want to talk to.
Yeah, I'm a G.I. Joe guy, bro.
I'm not a G.I. Joe guy, so what the hell would I talk about?
Yeah, exactly. Like I like He-Man.
You can just talk about talk about Snake Eyes the whole time.
Dude, I think I had maybe 2 He-Man figures and Battle Cat, and I bought Man of Arms because as a kid I used to pretend that he was Hulk, so I painted his face all green, and I used it. Yeah, and I would use him as Hulk, and I sometimes. You know, the Marvel figures back then, I don't know, man. I know they were there, but it just didn't really, I don't know. And I would just use my G.I. Joes as if like they were Spider-Man or Punisher. Yeah, that was the time. And I just never really gravitated towards it. I was so much into G.I. Joe and like that trumped everything. Even I love Star Wars, but my G.I. Joes were like everything, dude. Like just, those are my number 1 toys.
If there's one person I will love, he's in the stream now. MJ Comics, because I want him to feel like we feel when we watch his content. Like when we watch his content, it's like watching an Oprah episode.
So I've had MJ on. I've had MJ on. We talk about Nintendo, and actually, he's the second part of that is coming out this week.
That was a good one.
Console Wars. So like, it's it's just about the topic. Whoever you get on, I keep saying
Triple G was cool. That was a good one.
I don't even know. I don't even know who that is.
He's up in. He's in England. He's in.
That's where you.
He's up there.
Wait, no, you had him on, bro. We talked about He-Man.
Oh, okay. I know. Yeah. I know him as Peter. So yeah, all right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That was listen. If you're a Masters Universe fan, that one that was a great one. Because we covered a lot between the movie and the toys and how we started, with the figures of the cartoon, and we went like chronologically, and it was a lot of good information. But that was fun, 100%.
Yeah, He-Man Masters Universe was one of the largest collections I had as a kid, but I can't tell you much other than that these days.
Oh, the cartoon! I enjoyed the cartoon.
Yeah, I love the cartoon.
And She-Ra, bro. I like Hordak. The cartoons.
Hordak was awesome.
Bro,
he's
a beast,
great
bro.
looking villain, man.
Yes, he is. And Thundercats. Like I only had Lionel. That's it. But I love the
I
cartoons as
had all
much as I
that
love
stuff.
G.I. Joe. Yeah,
He was the
yeah.
one I had the most
Mumra
of.
was the better figure, though. That's the
I
thing.
couldn't get
Liza was
him. I
great.
couldn't. I couldn't get him, bro. He was never there. I remember as a kid, bro. KB toy stores, Toys R Us.
KB
He was,
toy stores.
yeah, bro.
Wow.
Fedco.
Okay, I'm
Well,
gonna give
LA
you.
had Fedco and all
See,
that. Could not
I'll get.
find him, bro.
I'm gonna throw out my age with this one, but I used to get my Masters of Universe toys from Woolworth. Do you remember?
Yes,
Yes.
That's
yes.
where I
There was
got them.
Woolworth,
one. There was one in
bro.
Yonkers, and my mom used to get them
Yeah.
from as
No,
well.
no. I remember I lived in the Bronx, so right on Fordham. I was just like right there.
Whoa, did you guys
My
have
mom lived in the
Sears
Bronx
in
at
the
that
East
time.
Coast?
So.
Oh,
Yeah,
because you had Sears.
Yeah, of course
You
you have
guys have
Sears. Yeah.
Sears? Yeah.
yeah,
Oh man, those are the times, bro. Like I don't care, bro. Like I
Right.
still think that our era
yeah.
of toys were the best. Like you
They had an
cannot
ice cream stand,
compete.
man. What are you talking about? That's
Oh
how.
yeah. Well, Thrifties was big. Thrifties in LA would have been equivalent of a Rite Aid. And I would always go on my bike, go over the
Rock
bridge,
bottom.
go get me the spinner rack and ice cream cone.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
always
For
get
us,
my books off the spinner rack
no, man. I would go to Rock Bottom. I would go to Woolworth. My corner, newsstand where you had to go to the nudie books to get to the
to the
comic
comics.
books.
You know what?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I want to get somebody to come on and talk about. You ever go to like the video store when you were either a kid or a young adult, and
oh
you'd have
yeah,
to
we
like
had we had a
pass.
few of them.
absolutely,
So
bro.
hold on, you had to
Absolutely.
pass by the adult section, had that like little room, and you
Oh
always
yeah,
wanted
yeah,
to
with the
go in it.
curtain. Oh yeah,
You always
It was the
wanted to go
weirdest
in
thing.
it, but you were afraid. I want
The
somebody to come on and talk about
the
that.
the little beat it
Oh,
room,
dude.
right? No,
Yeah,
Right.
but
exactly.
here's the part that I never understood. This is when you know you're in the hood, right? Because I grew up in the hood. You know you're in the
Mm-hmm.
hood when you go to the bodega and when you go get your your drinks and your 25 cents juices, you have to go
On the
all the way
shelf.
to the end to it because the first drinks were the beer, right? And it was the same feeling going to the newsstand getting comics. It was the same feeling going to the VHS store to get your videos. You had to go through the adult section to get to the stuff you wanted, like the kids' comics, the kids' stuff. And
Yeah, yeah,
it was always
yeah,
one of those things that you walk and you just like,
yeah. They had the plastic, like they were bagged and they were covered.
yeah,
I remember that. But dude, I remember telling a story in Discord when no, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3
the beating
came
curse. There
out.
you go, Derek.
I literally
Remaster.
went to the video store the day before and reserved it. And he says, and he says, well, we don't. They didn't do that. There was a big chain in LA, Video 101, but we opened at 10 a.m. Bro, I don't remember what. I don't know. I don't remember if it was school, whatever. I just know that I was there at 9:50. What, papas? Okay. No, there isn't, papas. Hold on. And so I went 9:50 in the morning on my bike, my little diving bike, and waited for him to open up so I could get my Fred 911 Part 3. All right, bro.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get to the kids, man. Thank you, Mighty.
no problem. I'll
Izzy,
see you
always a
later.
pleasure. All right,
See you,
bro.
Derek.
All
Take
righty,
it easy,
man.
man.
Good hearing you,
Thanks.
man. Oh man, it's a fun time, man. Anyone
Yeah,
still
man.
plays Yu-Gi-Oh? Nah, I'm a little too old for Yu-Gi-Oh.
I'm very old for Yu-Gi-Oh. But yeah, I remember that. Like so much shit that I remember as a kid that like pop in my mind that I want to talk about with someone like that. Like the adult video store is one of them. Like
Mhm.
that's a good
It
conversation.
was
Like
it was definitely something where because it was before Blockbuster was a thing, right? So before we had Blockbusters, we had local chains, ma pa shops, and they had the videos. And I would get sometimes it was like the wrestling videos because I'm a huge wrestling guy. So they would have like the Titan Sports videos, but sometimes you had to go through it. It's kind of like it's like going through the floor full of fire just to get to the end. It's kind
yeah,
of thing like the tribal thing that you have to get through, and like you
and
just
not
gotta
even that.
go.
I wanted to go in there. Like I went in there when I was in high school, obviously, but you weren't supposed to be in there. I think you were over 18, but I
Yeah.
was still going in there.
So near
But
near Midtown Comics, in Times Square, there was a shop. There was a DVD shop, and what was cool about this DVD, I don't even know if it's still there to be honest with you. What was cool about this DVD shop was that they always got the movies 2 weeks in advance. So before, if there's a drop, they will have it 2 weeks before. So I will always go get my DVDs from them. But they have a very large selection of nudie movies. And you would go inside, man, and I'm the type of guy that I'm like, oh, I still have this sense of embarrassment when I go into these places and stuff like that. because it just feels awkward to me to about it. So I would just walk in, I'm like, I got the movie and like pay and then run off. You know what I mean? But it was something that I think is not the fact that we need it, but it's just something you miss. It's just the stories that
Yeah.
you get from all this stuff. All these stories, the news. I so miss the newsstand because there was
Yeah, I
so
agree.
much fun in the newsstand, man.
Alex, those different type of spinner racks in that room. That was fun. I'm not
No,
gonna lie to you.
there were more than spinning racks. There were some shaking racks too. Uh,
All right, so let's switch gears a bit. We've talked enough about the adult video stores and whatever. The podcast guests, and I appreciate all the everybody that you mentioned. I would love to have on. It's just about conversation, and a lot of people I don't know personally, so it's
Mhm.
I don't mind sending out like DMs to people I don't know, but a lot of times if they're not following me or don't know me, they're not going to respond because they
yeah.
don't check their requests.
Mhm.
So, but keep shooting them out. I would love to have everybody on, but let's end of the year, like con wise, anybody going what's left? I know New York Comic Con. Anything before that? Baltimore's before that, or does that happen
Baltimore,
already?
no, Baltimore's the following week.
The following week. Okay.
The
I thought it
following
was
week.
before New York Comic Con. Okay.
No, it's literally the thing. The reason why you feel that way is that it happens in September normally. So Baltimore usually happens in September. Somehow this
That's
year
why. Okay.
they
Okay.
moved it to the week after New York Comic Con. So it's actually happening in October. So that's what's happening. As far as other cons go, I guess you could say the local shows, really. I know Fan Expo does year-round things, so there's one happening in Canada. That seems to be a pretty big one. It's happening pretty soon. Um, but besides that, I think New York is the next big thing. I can't think of any other.
Any local shows anybody's in the chat that they're going to, but the one thing I've been hearing, and it's just part of me bringing this up, is that I heard from a lot of people saying that basically vintage comic buying has been picking up at some of these shows, which is surprising to me because I really thought like towards the end of this year it might start picking up, but it's starting to happen a little bit earlier along the summertime, which I
Mhm.
usually, people, I don't know. I feel like the summer kind of dies a little bit. I know that's like in the middle of con season, but I've always felt personally like I do less buying in the summer and more in like the fall than the winter. But I'm hearing from a lot of people saying that people were paying basically over GPA for books at cons recently. So has anybody else had that type of experience?
Yeah, I did witness that in Terrificon that some of these prices were higher than what the GPA is, to the point that I walked away from some of them. But at the same time, some of those prices were inflated because the guest that was there or something like that, like some Mark Silvestri books and things like that. But I have seen an influx, and this is something that's always been happening. I've been seeing more of an influx in pre-code horror was always a big deal, and Bronze Age horror is always a big deal. Like House of Secrets, House of Mystery, House of whatever. Those books are always hot, and people seem to grab
They've
those
been
books.
very hot over the past couple of months. Like
Yeah,
I think
people,
I think it's dying down a little bit, but like
it's
they've
cooling
been
off a little
crazy.
bit, but it's still, you know, at one time these books were like $5 books and now $10 books and things like that. Um, so all the time, I think with the recently, I think what we're seeing a little bit more of is an increase of DC books because of Superman and stuff like that. Because now DC seems to be like, this is the first time DC beat Marvel
Yeah.
year over year in movies and in comic books as well. Like, it doesn't happen, man. If you look at the like, going back to modern for a second, the modern age comic books, DC's killing it, like literally killing it,
No,
and
I
has
I I get it, but I'm talking
yeah,
about strictly vintage. Like people are
yeah,
saying that, like, so Murph says that. Don't you think it's just a con asking price? But yeah, I think a lot of collectors now know not to pay the con asking price, but unless
mhm,
there's newer people coming back in, which may be
yeah,
the case. But I don't know. I'm just hearing from reliable sources that people are out there spending good money on vintage books and really paying like more than what you would normally see. Because if you go on Instagram, obviously, like I'm a big proponent of Instagram because you can get books for great deals, but
mhm.
people are always just undercutting left and right, left and right. They want the best deal on Instagram, where it's not like that at a show. So, like,
Mhm.
I would like to know who's doing the buying. You're right, Murph.
Yeah. So
I don't know, but
video
but
video game
going
properties too, stuff like that's been always, and the kids comic books are always going to be selling because there's some nostalgia that goes along with that too.
well
Um,
that yeah, 100%. always.
Hmm.
But I don't know if you saw like even on Tom's podcast he put out today, like Golden Age Guru, he had like a box of 50 Super Mario Brother ones, 50 Legend of Zelda ones in one box, which is wild.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm pissed off. Talking about being pissed off, I had an entire collection at one time of Nintendo Power. To
Yeah.
only to find out that those books are like $1,000 books. And I remember one day just saying, where did I put my Nintendo Power books? Because I knew I had them. And apparently I threw them all out. Like, threw them out because I didn't think of it. Like, stupid me.
My
And
LCS has a bunch of them, but they just don't have one.
mhm.
Like that's the one I want is one. My fucking mouse is going in and out again. I don't know what the fuck
Oh,
is
here we
going on.
go. Yeah, I think that needs to charge.
Regardless, I would be I'd be highlighting your comments, guys. I do see you, John Ban. It says greetings from the Windy City of Chicago. Going tomorrow to Comic Con. That's awesome, brother. And Black Spider says he always asks for a discount, never pays full price. I agree with you. I would never pay full price unless it's something I absolutely desperately
Mhm,
wanted, maybe something that was rare, because there's just so many copies of everything out there right now. Like even things that you would think that were so like incredibly rare, they're really not.
mhm,
So you may not see them all the time. Like I never see, I said this before on one of the videos I did, the Action 419, that great
mhm,
Neil Adams Superman cover.
mhm.
It's a cheap book, but I never see it. I never see it, but it's not rare at all. I just don't see it.
So this actually is a question that came into my head about comics lately. What I've been noticing lately is an influx of cover buys more so than keys. You know what I'm saying? Like books that are hot because the cover is popular.
But are you talking about vintage? Or you're talking about modern?
Both, actually, both.
I
In
do see
both
a
cases,
little bit of uptick. I mean, I don't follow modern, so I can't
yeah.
really outside of some story stuff.
Like the Pep comics and stuff like that. Those old books.
The
Um,
golden age stuff always has been
yeah,
like even prequel horror, the more fucked up the cover, the better. But the
yeah.
bronze age horror definitely like I House of Secrets 123, the ice cream with the melting head of the guy's face, like
Hmm.
those are starting to go. Like the better covers, you're right. I've seen that as well. Like if you have a really creative cover, like they're starting to people
Yeah,
are
and I
starting to
see.
pay
I
up.
think that's happening more because again, we're in the I like to call this the plastic age, where everything is going to be put into a plastic right container. But I was looking at the Shaker report. Contact Comics is one of those books that no one knows about it, no one cares about it really, but it's an LB Cole. So
Yeah.
books like LB Cole, Schaumburg, um, people are starting to look for artist covers. So they're looking for well-known artists. You know, everybody wants to grab a Kirby and stuff like that, but it's these other guys that were making the grind those in that era that really were taken for granted. To be honest with you, during that time, that people are like now they're starting to look at their work and saying, "Man, this guy was awesome. This guy was great, and I want to have that." And I think you're seeing an influx of that. Not so much, like I said, the parts of the keys I don't think people are going to grab the keys as much because I think the keys have come to the point that they might be a little bit unattainable for some people. But what's attainable are lower performing non keys, but with great covers.
Well, here's here. I have a thought on that, but I want to highlight a few comments here. But MJ says he picked up a copy of Deadline One for cheap because I can't read what that says because it's in Euro.
Mhm.
Which is first Tank Girl, which is awesome.
That
Chef
is cool.
says, would you choose Nintendo Power One or Wizard One newsstand? That's a
Oh,
good one.
I have a Nintendo. I have a Wizard number one, so definitely
I agree.
Nintendo
I'm
Power.
going Nintendo Power on that as well.
It's a
Only
harder book
because
to get.
yeah, especially if you find it complete because they're harder to find complete with it. There's something inside it. I forget what it is. If it's a map or whatever it is, or a coupon, whatever the fuck it is, like they're harder to find complete. Um,
Ooh,
what I
Jim
wanted to
Mooney.
say to you was is that I think also it also plays a part in it is superhero fatigue right now. Like especially for me, like and I'm maybe a different example because I've kind of owned a lot of the books and
Hmm.
I don't feel like going back and collecting the same books. And
Yeah.
maybe some collectors haven't done that yet, but I think there's superhero fatigue and a lot of people are gravitating towards some of these other books because they're different than everything we've been accustomed to these past, 15 years or so. And maybe they're just noticing it and they think it's fun. And it's like you said, it's less expensive to boot.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like you have some amazing artists that they don't get the recognition they deserve. Just recently we talked a little. We mentioned something like Dave Stevens has. He's getting a lot of love these days now, which is fantastic. But you go back. I mentioned LB Cold. I mentioned Schonsberg. Those guys are the guys that like they put the grind in, and no one cared at that time. Wally Wood is another one that people love to get his stuff, and there are books out there that are very affordable. They're probably even under like $100,
Yeah.
really, and they're golden age books, but no one gave them any love at the time. So now they're getting that love that they deserve. It takes a long time, but even the Renaissance artists, no one cared for at one time. So I think it gravitates back. I'm with you on the fact that there is a level of superhero fatigue. People are tired of the superhero comics, and they want to be able to get the war comic books from the 40s, the propaganda covers. I haven't seen much of the romance books getting any love, but I think that will eventually happen sooner or later. The romance comics from the 50s and stuff like that. The the comedians, the Jerry Lewis books, the Stooges books, those books, man, there's some great artwork in some of those things that I think people haven't seen that's out there. Like I found out a few months ago that the very first DC comics by Neil Adams was Jerry Lewis, and the
Really?
book the book is like $50. I have yet
So
to find that book, but I'm gonna find it.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, so Alex says that the €2 is basically $2. So that's a crazy deal on that book. Derek says coupon or whatever the fuck, t-shirts coming soon. If I could sell them, I would definitely make them. 100%, Derek. Yeah, like Bronze Age horror books that are all black are sought after and high grade. A lot of high grade bronze horror right now is in demand. They're selling for crazy prices. I wouldn't necessarily spend all that money on it because just like Dave Stevens, I think his artwork's amazing, but it got so hot so quick and then cooled off real quick. So like
Mhm.
I don't know if that's going to happen with Bronze Age horror as well. That's what makes me kind of skeptical of buying like super high grade because I'm afraid of the big dollar decrease. But I would love to own a lot of the books. I did that best of the top 10 recently. There's a bunch of
Yeah,
Bronze Age horror on that list because you can still find them for cheap, like a $60 book that I love the cover. To me, I'll do that all day.
yeah. There's some really good Bernie Wrightson books that are out there that people don't even know about that are great. Again,
Neil
people are
Adams too,
looking
Bronze
for
Age
the
horror. Yeah.
yeah. Neil Adams did a lot of that stuff. And the thing is, he was also doing the Supermans, the Batmans. He was a jack of all trade when it comes to these books. He was. I see what Chef is saying there. He was the Mark Spears of his time.
Yeah.
Um, and guys like Mark Spears today, I give them a lot of credit for what they're doing. But after a while, and I think with Mark Spears, there's a little fatigue going on with Mark Spears. I
There
see.
is too many
It's
books
finally
coming out.
happening.
I think
Yeah,
he's
it's
awesome.
an overflux.
Yeah, it's just too many. He's phenomenal. I started. I'm not a modern guy, and I started collecting the books because I thought they were
Mhm.
amazing. I bought the or early on he had for the Monsters #1 he had the ASM 129 homage that he did, which is
Yeah.
awesome. I bought the book for $100. I ended up selling it for 600.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how that's
That's
how hot. That's my point. Like when I see shit like that, time to get
Mhm.
out.
Yeah. Buy to sell.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. But that's the thing with all this stuff, right? It has its ebbs and flows. It has moments where it's on its high point, and it has moments of where it's on the low point. Um, the horror books, they've just been hot lately, and I think guys like Mark Spears is causing that. To be honest with you, there's always been a fan base. That's something that's always been right. It's always existed. But there are guys like Mark Spears that are coming out that are doing these books, and people are like, you know what? This is reminding me of that, and that's reminding me of that, and that's what's happening because that's how things get hot. They get hot because someone else got reminded of it in some
Yeah.
way. It's
So
nostalgia.
and again, I apologize. My mouse is not working, so I can't highlight some of these comments. But Shauna says, I collect history and comics. I do the same thing, is how I collect Kirby is King, and I've been collecting spooky DC comics like Secret of Haunted House, Weird War Tales, or House of Mystery. I've been collecting lately. I think that's awesome. I do the same thing.
Mhm.
If I always say this, and it's like if you're a fan of the history of comics, that means that history is also part of you. And
Mhm.
that's why there are certain books that I collect because they're a part of my history as well. So keep doing what you're doing, Sean. I think that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Mhm. Let's see. Oh, Prez. I remember Prez. I think the 70s books are the ones that a lot of people are starting to pick up, regardless of
Yeah.
what kind of book it is. But I think there's a lot of love for the 70s. When we get to the 80s, and of course when we get to the 90s, there's more print runs in the 80s than there were beforehand. So, and the 70s comics were that they were comics. They weren't collectibles. They weren't treated like collectibles. It wasn't until the 80s that people started treating them as collectible
Well,
items.
here's another thing I'm going to mention about the 80s, and somebody, eh, tell me if you think the same way. But like, I feel like the 80s were the best time to read comics because that's
Yes.
where I got most of my reading done. If you go back and read the 70s, to an extent, it was okay. The 60s is very hard to read sometimes. If you go back and read it now, I did read it more as a kid, but like
Yeah.
the 80s comics, reading them, that's where I have my memories, and I
Well,
thought
the
that was
80s
some
is
of the
when it
best
becomes
stories.
sophisticated, right?
Yeah,
Sophisticated reading.
yeah,
Uh, and,
I can't read most modern shit now because the shit's too short. It leaves me wanting like another 3 books in one shot.
yeah.
I don't wanna wait fucking a month for another thing, so, like, that's why I
Mhm.
can't do it.
So I think you're absolutely right with the 80s. I think what happened to the 80s is that the people that were reading the comic books, and like obviously the kids were always reading the comics, but the people that were actually reading the comic books were from college. They were college students from the 70s that are in college now, and they started reading the books. That's how we ended up getting those. That's how we got Sandman. That's how we got Watchmen. That's how we got Batman Return. But Dark Knight Returns. All that stuff comes from that era, where they took the medium seriously at that time. And even the superhero books, man, like that one Alan Moore story of Superman, the man who had everything. um you know that story is awesome. Miracle Man, or Marvel Man, whatever you want to call him. That's another thing that was crazy when you were reading. And then you got Doom Patrol and stuff like that. It was at a time period, and then we end up getting the artists who elevated it. The stories may have not been as great, but that's where we get Todd McFarlane. That's where we get Jim Lee. We get Mark Silvestri. Even Rob Liefeld was huge during that time. Say what you want to say about him, whether you like it or not. And Jim Valentino was getting love. And then they spread, in the 90s when they spread out to become Image. But it was in that 87 to 89 period that, if you look now, mostly all those books are sought after in some way or not. You know what I'm saying? And you had great writers as well. You had guys like John Byrne writing. You had guys like Walter Simonson writing. You had Louise Simonson. Like, it was just, I say that was a perfect time period for comics, because at this time they took the medium serious, where
And they didn't
beforehand it was like, kids comics.
the other thing that I enjoyed about that is that they took characters that already existed and they brought new stories without changing what the character stood for, the changing, like they do now, like Absolute Batman is not the same Batman that we grew up on. It's a totally different character. It's a totally different universe. Like,
Mhm.
they play within the same universe, and that's what I enjoyed about it, because you can go back and still get the same character if you want to go back and read the 70s or 60s or whatever. Yeah, certain things change, but it was always, the heart was the same. Things now are totally different, and the
Yeah.
writing, I hate to
Nothing
say it,
nothing sticks anymore. Nothing
yeah,
sticks.
and that's part of the problem, I think, with new comics, is that because there's no baseline. You know what I mean? Like, you have a baseline and you know what it's about, and you could jump on at a certain point and be okay. Now, if you don't start from the beginning with these newish characters, you're basically, I don't want to
Which
say lost, you're turned
Yeah,
off, whatever it is.
which is the problem with mainstream comic books, right? The Marvels and the DC. They're not writing anymore to the readers. They're writing towards the next script for the MCU, the next script for the DCU. That's what they're writing towards. And it's lost its luster. It's lost its ability to be a meaningful storyline. You had guys like Peter David that was on Hulk. You had Chris Claremont on X-Men, who had long runs on these books, and they had a progression in that story. Where today it's like a guy's like, I'll do 3 issues. What are you gonna get off of 3 issues? What are you gonna get off of 6 issues? A trade paperback, but does it really mean anything? You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the hard thing about modern comic books. That's why people gravitate towards the indies, because these guys
Yeah.
it's their book. It's not Marvel's book, and they do all the characters that are coming out of the indies. That's why Invincible is so big now, because it's taking that same formula that Spider-Man once had, and they put it into a more adult
But that,
level of it.
but
But
it's been around for so long, and people are just like the past year is starting to explode really with the TV show. So like
Mhm.
that's my thing. Why haven't people jumped on that earlier? That's what makes me nervous about Invincible. But I
Yeah.
get what you're saying, 100% right. Everything really is indie right now. There's
Mm.
like you could forget Marvel. DC's doing some great writing, but again, you have to be into what they're doing. I'll put it that way.
Mhm.
But the writing 100% is there.
Mhm.
A lot of people saying comments again. I apologize, but my mouse is not working, so I can't click on them. But Murph wants to know there's a purple crown next to his thing, and I think what that is, Murph, is that like you get like contributions now, how much you've contributed to like a live chat. So it may have like
Yeah.
a number next to that crown. So if you see that, that means you're like a top contributor to the chat,
Mhm.
which is very appreciated. Is this a confected? What's going on, brother? Always chatting with him on Instagram now. 80
Yeah.
stories are amazing. The uncanny brood line story. Dawn of the Indies, 1980s, 100%.
Mhm.
If you were reading in the 90s at some point, you saw an incredible amount of pouches in an issue. I don't know what he means by what does he mean by
I know
that?
exactly what you mean about the pouches. That's all. That's all Rob Liefeld. That's the image.
Oh,
The
yeah,
image world.
I was never a big Liefeld guy.
I
Uh,
was a Liefeld guy until Youngblood. That's when it was over because it was impactful. He had a style and people loved it. That's all it
so
was.
Angry Straight White Mouth says, "Hey, honey, this is Supergirl, and she's a drunk mess who has an OnlyFans." I agree with you about that, dude. That
Wait till you see
annoyed
the
me.
movie.
Yeah, I know. I saw that when I saw Superman. I didn't like that either, man. I
Yeah.
agree with you,
Yeah,
hundred percent.
I was a fan of Superman, but the Supergirl story is the Tom King story that's gonna be next year. So we'll see what
Yeah,
we'll see how they turn that
this
into.
is it's very hit or miss. Like a lot of people like it, a lot of people didn't like it. The people that I talked to, they thought it was okay. I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was horrible, but I thought he tried to do way too many things in the first movie from the DCU, and it just kind of picked up right away. Too many characters for me, not enough emotion, not enough of what makes Superman Superman, in my opinion. I get it. He's a very comic book movie, and it's probably accurate to a lot of the
Yeah,
60s stuff, but I just thought it was a little bit too much for the first movie and Superman, be honest with you.
I agree with he crammed a lot into it. I also look at it from the perspectives like he's building a universe, so Superman was kind of like he's he's gonna be the scapegoat for this
Yeah.
universe, I guess, in some way. Even though he just went on the record saying that they're already doing a part, they're getting ready for a part two, and they're calling this the Superman saga. Obviously, with Supergirl being part of it, Crypto's part of it, so it was very. I think it was paying tribute more to the Silver Age of comics, which was very
Yeah.
hokey for its time, but there's some elements of it that I absolutely loved about the movie, and then there was elements of the movie that I saw was like, man, did we really need all that? You know what I mean? It's like if
Yeah.
you got rid of this, you might have been able to get a more contained story. Um, yeah, Dan Slott wrote 500 issues of ASM that I don't care for. I'm sorry. I was not a fan of Dan Slott Spider-Man. Just wasn't my Spider-Man anymore. So to that point there, but yeah, after one more day, I think that was the end of Spider-Man for me.
So again, my mouse is at 97% and it's still fucked up. So I don't know. I give up with this fucking thing. It worked for like a minute and then it goes back. I have no fucking idea. So I apologize, but it is what it is at this point. But we're just like I said, we're just hanging out. We're just talking about anything that kind of you know we want to talk about. It's
Alex
just
Cruz.
annoying. It's just annoying.
I
Can
can
I get his
imagine, man.
backstory? I didn't
So
need a whole I didn't need a whole backstory for the movie. Everybody knows it, but give me something. Like the best part of the movie was him sitting down at his parents' house with his father. I mean, like to me, like that's the only emotional thing that I got outside of the
yeah,
dog. But I don't know.
I think what I would have liked was the connection between Superman and Lois.
Yeah,
Like
that should have been more
that
too. Like,
part, I think that I need a little bit more of that. Give me a second here. I'm getting a question from a certain somebody. So we'll just
yeah,
turn off my camera for a second.
good. What I was gonna say is like if you saw that movie and you saw the 1970s, Superman movie, you remember the scene with Superman flying around with Lois Lane? You didn't get any of that. You didn't get any type of emotion or any type of feeling from that. You got the one scene of him at the end, lifting her up and flying and kissing her. That's it. That's the only thing
That
you
was
got.
it.
You got an argument in the beginning of the movie that I'm sorry if we're spoiling, but it's been like 2 months already. I can't help you,
It's
but
on
it,
VOD now.
yeah, it was just it didn't feel like a Superman movie to me. That's what annoyed me. Like, how would you like a Batman like that? Like, I would be so fucking annoyed if I saw Batman like that. Like, this is not Batman. Like,
Mhm.
that's why I hated the Superman versus Batman. It wasn't. There were parts of that Batman was good, and part of it was just like, what the fuck is this? This is not Batman. So it's like, it didn't make sense to me.
Well, that's how I felt in the Snyderverse in general, right? For me, the Snyderverse was too busy trying to turn the DC universe into the Watchmen universe, and I
Yeah, I got
hated
what
it.
you're saying.
I hated it. It's not that I hated the movies. It's not. I just hated that. Why do we need to have an emo Superman? He's, truth, justice, American way, as they say, right? But yeah, this guy was always complaining about he was a Superman that didn't want to be a Superman. He was a Superman that didn't, like, come on, man, I don't need this. And I think
Yeah,
what they did with this movie was like, we want to make sure this is not the same Superman. And at the end of the day, like I said, I enjoyed it a lot. I seen it like 4 times already. I went to movie theaters twice, and
you
I have
saw it 4 times already.
well, I have a screener, so I've seen it 4 times, and I've enjoyed it. I see a lot of the flaws that people talk about because I don't think the Metamorpho story we needed that much, like the baby story. I don't think we needed it. I understood that it was a plot device type of thing,
Yeah.
with the baby, and it was to prove, oh yeah, he saves everybody, including the squirrel. That's what Superman was
But
supposed to be.
here's the thing. Like, you've seen the originals, right? With Reeve.
Yeah, of course, all
So
four.
even a stupid scene of him getting hit in the back with like whatever he got hit with, and he just looks over his shoulder like that. To me, like, it's a funny scene because it's like nobody can hurt the guy. Like, they made him too vulnerable, in my opinion.
Mhm.
I understand what he was going up against, but like, they made him too vulnerable. He was too many cracking jokes. Like, he could be smart, like Reeve was like very, sarcastic and witty and
Yeah.
whatever. Like, I like that about Superman, but they just made him too vulnerable to be like the strongest superhero that there is. Like, it didn't make sense. I don't know. We can go on and on talking about that
Yeah,
movie for hours
there's
because
a
the
lot to
things that
dissect.
yeah. On the
Yeah.
opposite side, Fantastic Four, I thought it was a good movie. I did. Whether you like the characters or not, whether you like the stories or not, I thought it was very entertaining. It was, it paced very well. It wasn't too much throwing at you. And I thought Galactus was awesome. I do wish that he was in more of the movie. I would have liked to see more from that character. And I do think at some point he's going to return, right? He's going to probably come back at some point.
Oh yeah, that was just a means to not have him die, which was a common issue that they would do. Fantastic Four, I actually enjoyed it less than Superman, even though I did enjoy it. I'm not saying I didn't. Um, I didn't understand the need to make the gender swap for Silver Surfer. Um,
The only
I
reason I think
also
the only reason I don't mean to interrupt you, but the only reason I think they did that is because I think they killed off the character. I shouldn't say killed off, but they whatever, and they better introduce Norrin Rad soon because
well, that's
you
the
sent
thing. I
that
don't think.
character. Yeah, you sent that character off. The only reason to
Yeah,
do that is to bring in Norrin Rad soon. That's my only assumption.
that
If they don't,
that's the
then you're
thing.
right.
I'm not sure. I think you could have just made it Nova. You could have made it Frankie Rave. That was the story. Because again, the whole concept was that Johnny had a thing for her.
Yeah.
You know, so and it was what it was the '60s, so he couldn't have a thing for Norrin. They probably wouldn't have touched that one, that storyline. But like, I think
We'll get there.
I think the actress behind it, she was great. I love that one scene where she just tells him, the herald of Galactus, I herald his beginning, I herald your end. I thought that was awesome. That whole scene, because you felt that like, oh crap, it's about to get real. I like the whole Galactus walking down the streets.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That was fun. Just watching it. That brought me some laughs.
Yeah,
Um,
I thought it was great too.
yeah.
I
So
want to know how they're going to work them into. I mean, that's what everybody wants to know, how they're going to work FF into Doomsday. Why are they coming to the 616? Like, that's everybody's big guess right now. We don't know,
yeah.
but I wasn't a fan of them casting Downey to play
Oh
Doctor
no,
Doom.
neither am I. Neither was I.
I'm a little worried where they're going with this now because I'm hearing different things about how maybe there's branch timelines from Captain America returning the stones, branch timeline from some Doctor Strange, creating
I
the
don't
what's it
I
called?
don't like I don't like the concept of RDJ being Doom because no matter how you slice it, first of all, it sounds like a desperate act. Second of all, there's no you're gonna do the comparison that he's Tony and that's part of the whole thing. Doctor Doom's his own thing. Doctor Doom's his own character. He does not need to be a variant of someone else. And I think that's part of the problem because even though this is the multiverse saga, I think it's stupid. I hope when it's all said and done and we get to Doomsday and we get to Secret Wars, I want an end to Tony Stark no matter what. An end of RDJ. And nothing against RDJ. I think he's a great actor. He saved his career, he saved the MCU, whatever you want to say. I don't need him anymore.
So here's the
His
thing.
time is done.
100%. But I want to see him come back as Iron Man one more time. That's what everybody wants. The
Mhm.
only way that this works is if he comes back and he's looks like Tony Stark, but there's already theories out there. Franklin Richards maybe
The one that healed his
doing,
face.
yeah, exactly, and like
Mhm.
he's looks like Tony Stark because he went and took Tony Stark's, resurrected him, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And at the end, we're going to get a different Doom or a Doom that's behind this whole thing. That plays out great. But
Mhm.
I've been speaking to someone else like the whole Nexus being thing. Like that's the one thing that nobody seems to be touching on. Like why bring up the Nexus being and having that one person that can hold the universe together?
Yeah.
And I think that the Nexus being of the 616 is Peter Parker, Spider-Man. And I think Tony Stark, if you read, I don't want to
Didn't
spoil anything. So if you
didn't
want to
they
click off,
acknowledge that it's Scarlet Witch?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think
I
they
didn't hear
acknowledged
that.
that it's her.
I don't know. I
Mhm.
can't answer that. So the theory I have, and if you want to click off, it's just a theory, but supposedly there's the X-Men from the Fox universe are gonna, the Avengers team is gonna go to the Fox universe looking for Monica Rambeau. And they're looking for Monica Rambeau, but they're also looking for Doctor Doom because they assume that he went there. But in the meantime, Doctor Doom is on the 616,
Mhm.
coming to the 616, looking to kill the Nexus being of the 616, who I think is
Mhm.
Peter Parker. And the whole big payoff here is that, Peter Parker
Yeah.
sees that it's Tony Stark's face and he's the one that kills him. But the
Yeah.
whole thing, again, another spoiler, I want to click off. Today they showed pictures of Spider-Man Brand New Day with a poster. On the poster, it says symbiosis.
Yes, I heard about that.
So I think that Peter
But
Parker's going to die, and then the Secret Wars, the symbiote's going to resurrect him, just like the fucking
yeah.
Zach cover. Like I think we're
Yep.
going to see
Jazz
that. I think
hands.
we're going to see that.
You're gonna see jazz hands. I
Yeah,
think what they're doing is since they are adapting this whole brand new day concept, I think since they bringing back Scorpion, I think he's gonna be Venom,
I
not
hope,
Eddie
dude.
Brock.
You'll see me lose my fucking mind if they do that. I hope that's not the
Oh,
case.
I honestly think that's gonna happen.
I don't.
Because
I don't.
that's present says he's Venom in the comics. So I see that. I also see a situation, you know, where we're gonna get a battle between the X-Men and the Avengers, the
Yeah,
existing Avengers,
yeah,
not the Avengers. We're talking
yeah,
about B-list Avengers, so the not the great late Avengers, but pretty damn close. Because that's what we have right now. And this is what part of the reason why I think the MCU is suffering is that now you have your B-list players, and no one cares for the B-list players. Everybody wants the A-listers. That's the problem. When your B-list team comes in, no one cares.
yeah.
Um, so I think that's their biggest problem. So that's why they want to kind of revert back to the A-listers and then kind of do a James Bond thing where they could always recast the person after a couple of years,
So this
which
is
is
all
part of their plan.
speculation. Oh, the FF thing, angry straight YMO. It's been too long, dude. Sorry.
We've been said spoiler
Yeah,
warning a while
yeah.
ago.
You
Sorry,
must
we
have
don't
jumped
have the.
out and
We have
jumped
to have
in,
like
but
the pop up window.
all the Avengers and Spider-Man stuff, it's all speculation at this point. But
Yeah.
I hope they don't do. I don't think. I think Norman Osborn is everything behind it. I
Well,
think they're going to introduce
there's
Norman
also
Osborn.
I think they're introducing Harry, and they're
Yeah,
gonna have the rumor has it that
Spider
the kid
Gwen.
one of the kids from from Stranger Things is gonna
Yeah,
be him.
yeah.
So
And
that'd be
then
interesting.
they said that what's her face? It may be Spider Gwen. So
What's
that's
Sadie?
Sadie Sink. Yeah,
They're also talking about her being May Parker.
Yeah, I don't see that being it either. I have a feeling she's gonna play Spider-Gwen, but
Yeah.
also not even that. You see that they found a what looks like a rhino head on set. So it seems to me like if you remember the Spider-Man the animated series, how like
Yeah.
the Kingpin had all these guys going after Spider-Man. That was the whole
Yeah.
big thing, and but they can't use the Kingpin, I guess, in a movie. So, but so I think they're gonna
They
use Norman
I
Osborn.
forgot what they call him. They didn't call him the Sinister Six. They gave him some other name because they
Yeah,
could. They felt like the word sinister wasn't good for kids or something like that. I remember that.
but
I can't.
in those episodes is how Eddie Brock becomes Venom.
Mhm.
That's why I'm wondering if it's not going to be Scorpion, because Scorpion was in it as himself. But in those episodes, those couple episodes that had those Kingpin going after, having Scorpion, Rhino going after Spider-Man, is Eddie Brock was in it, and that's how he became Venom in that story.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping they're coming straight from that because I would love to see that.
Yeah, I would love to see Eddie Brock in the Marvel universe because I want to see that Eddie Brock. I want to see Eddie Brock, the guy who's a sleazeball who pushed him in the train. I want that guy, the guy who does absolutely anything to get back at Peter for ruining his life. You know,
Yeah,
that's what I want. I don't want like I honestly think it's gonna be Scorpion. I'm sorry, that's just my guess that Scorpion's gonna take the mantle of Venom in some way. I could see that happening a mile away. But last but not least, I think when it comes to the Secret Wars storyline, I think Loki is gonna play the role of what was Molecule Man from the Secret
yeah.
Wars. So that's what I think is gonna happen here.
I've heard that as well. But
Yeah,
I need to know what's his what's Doom's motive here, being Tony Stark. Is I mean, I've heard that he's Doctor Doom from the FF universe because they showed the Latveria empty
yeah.
seat. So
Which I
is
like.
this
That I like seeing
no, so did I.
Latveria.
That was very good. But like, is he just the variant who is Victor Von Doom because there's different backstory in that universe? To me, I wouldn't like that. Like that doesn't need to be Tony Stark. I understand why it happens, but I need a better explanation. If they're going to do that, then he has to come back as Iron Man as well. And they have to go back and get him from somewhere. I don't want it from another universe to
Mhm.
have Franklin Richards resurrect his ass and then let him die again. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be a weird one, man. Anyway, man, I gotta bounce. I got the missus
All
already
right.
sending me the text messages, but dude, Lawrence, it's been a blast. I'm hearing
Yeah.
I'm hearing that the CBCS awards have been. Congratulations, Dark, for being nominated. I think I hope I got nominated for something. Right?
Nominated or a finalist.
No, no.
All right, but
Well, it's a
go and
finalist. I think it's the finalist now. I think today's the finalist list. So
I
you
don't
know,
know. I don't know. I don't think
I gotta
I'm
see.
a finalist, but go enjoy, but I'll see you soon.
I've lost. I've been nominated multiple times and never won. So you know, always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
So
But
it
I'm okay
happens.
with that. I'm okay with that. It's just a fun, it's a fun, viewers' choice awards. That's all that that is to be. You know,
All right,
I can
have
put
a
it
good
right
one, bud.
next to my Izzyverse right there, though.
There you
So,
go.
all right, but guys, if you want to know, I do have a video out right now. It's X-Men keys. If you go inside, you could win a sketch comic book if you leave a comment. If you got up to tomorrow to leave that comment, and you get an X-Men comic of your choice. But I'm gonna only do it U.S. only. Unfortunately, I can't send out things outside the country right now. But if you go in, just leave a comment, say tell me your favorite X-Men, and then that enters you for the giveaway. So I got a nice blank there, man. So looking forward to draw an X-Men character. I hope someone rare too. I don't want to draw Wolverine again, to be honest with you. I draw him all the time.
All right, bud.
Lawrence,
Go enjoy.
I hope you get the mouse fix, and I'll see you when I see you, bro.
All right, take it easy, man.
Take it easy, bro.
All right, so it's just me now for a little bit anyway. If anyone else wants to jump on, you're more than welcome. We could talk about whatever because I am not tired. I have not slept in 2 weeks, folks. Believe it or not, I have not slept in 2 weeks, but that's all right. I'm just having fun here tonight. So, uh, listen, I'm still excited. I don't care. Even I get you, man. They are using B-list characters. I agree with you, but that's why they have to bring these characters back. And I do think we're going to get a Captain America. I do. They're going to get Tony Stark. I just hope that the writing is good. And I'm going to say this: the Russo brothers has never done a bad movie for the MCU, and I think they're going to be epic. But they have to do something with the symbiote Spider-Man. There's no question. He's got to get that suit in Secret Wars. So I think something drastic has to happen before he gets it. And I also think they have to set up Eddie Brock a little bit in Spider-Man um, Brand New Day. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. I would be so pissed off if they gave Scorpion the symbiote before Spider-Man gets it. It makes no sense to me why uh, it wouldn't go straight to Spider-Man, considering he is more of a powerful than, superhero or hero, whatever, than the Scorpion is. That would make no sense to me. So I understand he gets it later on in the modern comics, but why would they do that? They would make you're taking all the logic out of the symbiote, right? Just doesn't make any sense to me. I want to give a big shout out to Patel Philippe. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Super chat, $5. Thank you so much. ASM 1 or X-Men 1, same grade. Which would you take and why? So that's a great question. And I will always answer all you guys' questions. If you're a Spidey guy, you want the ASM 1, but if you're going to spend that much money on a comic, I'd rather have AF-15. If you're an X-Men guy, I would take the X-Men 1. So if I had a choice between I'm a Spidey guy, so I would take the Spider-Man 1. But if you have no skin in the game and you're not either one, right now, I think it's easier to sell an X-Men 1 than it would be to sell an ASM 1. So that's the way I look at it when I'm buying books like this. I'd rather own an AF-15, and I understand they're 3 times the price. Don't get me wrong. But I would rather have it's a first X-Men, a first appearance. Spider-Man, it's not a first appearance. Yes, I understand. J. Jonah Jameson, Chameleon, got it. It's number 1 issue. But the X-Men, you're getting first appearances of not only an X-Men team, Magneto, number 1 issue. It's to me, I'd rather own that book if I'm not a Spidey fan. Darth, I don't even know what you're saying in these things. You're saying there's another voting process. I don't know what this means. Finalist, I guess, is what is going on. I don't know. My thing about the Comic Community Awards is that there's too much left open to determination. I'll put it that way. And they got rid of the bigger channel nominees, like anything over 2,000, you can't have a thing anymore. So I'm out of that. So I appreciate anyone who would vote for me for something like that. I put a lot of work into my videos and hope you enjoy it, and that's all I care about. So I'll leave it at that. But yeah, I'm excited about the MCU. Again, guys, I'm here. So if you want to ask questions, I got nothing to do. And anyone else wants to hop on, you're more than welcome to hop on with me. I still got some time tonight. So I'm here for you and me because I got nothing going on. See, check my notes. Anybody pick up any books lately that they want to share with the chat? Be my guest. So Murph says he would take the true first appearance. So that's what I said. X-Men 1 is a true first appearance. I think it's a more desirable book because of that to many collectors. But like I said, if you're a Spidey collector and you like Spidey, like I own ASM 1, so that I would want to own that book. Derek says CBC awards process is longer than the NBA playoffs. I agree with you. My whole thing is that like they got to be transparent, and they're not. So it's great that all the nominations, everybody should be, anybody who puts out content should be nominated if they have loyal followers, and I'll put it like that. Phil says, I'm on the fence with ASM 1. Same reason you stated. It's a second appearance and never a fan of second appearances that high. I agree with you. That's one of my mottos. Don't overpay for them. But it's a first of a legendary series. It's a tough one. I agree. That's why I own it. And I have owned an X-Men 1 in the past. So my question to you is this. If you want the X-Men first, fine. Save up and buy the ASM 1 later. You can also, depending on the grade you're looking for, you can get both. So I don't know how much you were looking to spend. That's the next thing. X-Men 1 was just on the hot list at a 2.5, was like $5,000, which really went up. Like I remember 4 years ago, that book was like $3,000, 3,500. So ASM 1, I still think you can get a really low grade for like $4,000. So again, it's really, it's up to you, but I would love to own both of them. Derek says ASM 1 cover isn't great, but I realize that's subjective. Yeah. To me, like I actually I'm one of the few people, I've told the story numerous times. Like when I was a kid, I saw ASM 1 on the wall at a shop by me, and I was enamored ever since I saw it. I always thought that was the first appearance of Spider-Man growing up as a kid. And later on, I found out it wasn't. So I was always enamored with that book. Phil, thank you again, brother. I really appreciate it, man. He says, I'm picking up an AF-15 3.5 grade at Fan Expo next week, paid my entire life savings into it, but I'm not known for great financial decisions. Just be careful, man. I always say this, if there's one book I always want to own, it's AF-15 because it's always desired. It may fluctuate in price a little bit, but I got to tell you, man, there's two books in my collection I would really love to keep forever, and it's AF-15 and my Tech 27. So Matrix is in the stream. You there, brother?
Hey, what's up, Lawrence? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
All right, good.
How are you?
I don't have a camera on, but I'm out here listening and wanted to call in.
Absolutely. What's going on? How are you?
Doing good, doing good. So, you know, there's only a few things I really care about with comics, and it's indies, horror, Copper Age, are kind of where the world that I live in. Um, and some other mostly like obscure books. So I like watching your channel because you're the complete opposite of me. I could care less about Spider-Man. I have one ASM book in my collection. It's ASM 238. It's a book I got when I was a kid for 25 cents, and I keep it for that reason. Um, but I'm not a Spidey. I'm not a mainstream. I like Batman because of who he is, but I'm not collecting those books. Um, so I wanted to call in and see. I had a few things to talk about, but sort of see what you think about um, the indies, about the books that are obscure, that you're not going to come across too much.
So when you say indies, are you talking modern or are you talking like
Yeah,
vintage
sorry.
indies?
So okay, so this is kind of the other question. It's kind of broader question, but so I mentioned the Copper Age. That's kind of where I exist in. Um, there's people out there who don't even believe in the Copper Age, who don't even think it's an era of comic books. Steve says boom, from Torpedo. We kind of went back and forth on Instagram once because he said he doesn't even believe that Copper Age exists. He thinks it goes from bronze straight into modern, and I think there might be an argument for that. I'm not close minded in that way. But when I mean indies, I mean the Copper Age. And what I think about the Copper Age is 1984 to 1994, which is the year that Ninja Turtles was published,
Mhm.
right? In 84. And 94 being when this is where my definition is when Evil Ernie
Yeah.
is published in Chaos Comics for the first time. So out of Eternity, out of Brian Pulido's, and sort of into the quasi mainstream. And the Copper Age belongs to the indies, right? It belongs to Caliber Press. It belongs to Mirage Studios. It belongs to Eternity. These sort of off kilter publishers that I really love. So I'm curious if you ever dipped into that era of books, because those books like Evil Ernie one, like Gore Shriek, the horror series. Um, just a few examples. They're obscure, but people know enough about them. But I'm not sure how you feel about them, or if
So
that's
they
even a
definitely
world that you're interested in.
so Copper, we were talking about earlier, and I don't know if you were on the
Oh, with
stream at that
Izzy?
point. Yeah, we were talking about how Copper is the best writing that we grew up reading, like compared to like silver, bronze, and then now modern. Copper Age had the best stories. And you say independent, but I loved reading Copper Age Spider-Man. I love reading Copper Age Batman. Frank Miller, to me, Frank Miller's
Yeah,
Batman like got me through life at a certain point. So as far as indies go, like I know I never read Evil Ernie. I know who he is, and I know I would love to own his first preview, which is incredibly rare in Malibu Sun. Like to me, that's like I would love to own that book, but it's just so incredibly rare. I never read Evil Ernie. As far as some of the other ones you mentioned, what was it? You mentioned something else. Obviously,
um,
You mentioned TMNT, which
yeah, yeah.
that's a dream book for me.
The
Obviously, I would love to
Crow,
own. Yeah, The Crow is I've talked about The Crow a number of times on my channel when it's been on the hot list. I would
yeah.
love to own the book, first appearance. What is it? Caliber Presents. That was it.
Caliber
That's
presents one,
that's
yeah,
what you said. I couldn't remember the name of that. But yeah,
yeah,
I would love to own the first appearances. I never read the books growing up. I'm not gonna lie to you. But
yeah,
again, I'm into anything obscure. If you watch, I don't know if you watch my Tuesday list that I do.
yeah. I see it sometimes.
It's
Yeah,
it's more obscure stuff. And now I can only report on what shows up that sells. So like none of those books have appeared on it yet, but like, would I want to own them? Sure. I'm not going to go out and buy like the runs of this stuff, but I would love to own, like I said, that Evil Ernie one. I would love to own that the Malibu Sun edition, Caliber Presents. Even the Crow one is a really tough book to find and super high grade, man. So like, absolutely.
Yeah, there is money there, but it's interesting though that like I had contributed to Key Collector a few times, and have worked with Nick on a few lists and sort of like a Copper Age horror list. I'm thinking about horror because October is right around the corner, and right now is you got like maybe another 3-4 weeks to pick up any horror book you might want to pick up before it before they get expensive, because once October 1st comes,
Mm.
those horror books start to sort of get more expensive. People are thinking about them a lot. So
No, I get it.
yeah, I was just sort of wondering, because horror is something that you touch on every now and then, especially with Bronze Age and pre-code stuff. But I'm just sort of, it's what you look at is totally different than what I look at. But I like your channel because of that, and it's something that I don't think about too much. I'm sort of in the obscure land,
I got you.
but
E-
but I was
ev-
curious, what horror books are you looking at? What horror books are you looking into coming up for
most of my
October?
most of my horror stuff to look at is pre-code or Bronze Age. Like I just picked up a Crime Suspense Story 17. I have a couple other ones I picked off of claim sales. I don't. One is a Thrilling that I got, which is I actually have them over there. Crime, I think I've showed. The Thrilling I have back there. I like fucked up covers. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like the Bronze Age stuff, the covers are not that messed up, but like when you get a clever one, I buy them. Like that House of Secrets 123 I mentioned with the ice cream cone melted head. I love that fucking cover.
Oh yeah, you've been
So
talking about that one. Yeah,
yeah,
here's
like
the
so
thing.
like
Here's the thing about DC Bronze Age horror. I think it's interesting. First of all those books. I mean, those books are printed to the moon. They're available, right? You can find those books. In high grade, yeah, it is tough, but it was
thank you,
interesting.
Patel.
It was tough to see those books take off, like, but 3 or 4 years ago, and they're still kind of living off that heat. Those books are cool, but they're maybe not as, I think, rare as people might think they are. I mean, they're they're out there.
Yeah, 100%. That's the thing with like anything past, I hate to say it, golden age, even the silver age. I just feel like silver age, if you want to collect the keys, the bigger keys, I think that's the way to go. But like anything bronze and up, there's so many copies out there. So that you like, that's why I always tell people like, just get it because you want to own it. Other than that, that like you're really just playing with fire at times. But as far as what you're talking about, some of the copper age bronze, I'm not really too familiar with a lot of it because I didn't grow up reading it. When I gravitate to horror, it's because it's not because of the story, it's because of the covers. I think the horror covers are you could see it with Mark Spear stuff now, like how amazing and how hot his stuff is because the cover art is just incredible.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I just wanted to call in real quick. I got one more thing to say. I'm working on a pretty big editorial for, I can't say which space yet, but it's a comic book website,
Awesome.
and it's an editorial about. I threw this in the chat earlier. I'm doing my first. I'm gonna have a table at Queen's Comic Party. I'm
I
in New
saw that.
York,
Yeah. I
and
saw I would
so.
have called it out before, but like I said, my mouse wasn't working.
Oh, no worries, no worries, no worries. I'm just saying that it's coming up, and I'm gonna bring some books. I've been looking at these. I don't want to give too much away, but I'm looking at these. I'll just say adult comic books. Um, these days are pricey, man. When you can find them, and again, I'm being vague here because I don't want to give all my cornbread away just yet. And plus, I'm working on this huge piece that's going to establish these books, and shine some light on them. But just to everybody out there, and and you as well, these super niche books, right? Like these niche books, whatever genre they're in. I feel like that's what people are going for. I've sold a few books for record prices here recently, and they're books that are just really hard to come by, rare, copper, modern books. And I say modern, I mean like 90s. So there's a market out there for these books that don't come up much. The people who do know what they're looking for, they snatch them up quick and they pay the price. And there's certain adult comic books out there that are really interesting, uh, done by veteran comic artists, and it's just a genre that is completely almost overlooked because of what it is. But
Yeah.
there's room there, there's money there, there's an audience there, and it's really interesting stuff. So just keep an eye out for that. You know,
Are you before you go? Are you on Instagram?
yeah, I'm on.
Send me a DM with some of the stuff you're talking about, pictures, so I can take a look at it if you don't mind. All right.
Yeah. At a certain point, I'll definitely share for sure. But just everybody out there who's picking up stuff, find your niche, find those books that you find really really interesting that you think nobody else might not, and I guarantee there's somebody else out there who is interested in them and maybe just hasn't found them yet. So just something to
All
think
right.
about. But good show, man. Thanks for letting me call in.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man. Take care.
All right, buddy.
There you go. This so Angry Shade Wow. So this isn't even a modern age right now. It's gold. It goes golden, silver, bronze, copper. Modern now. We're at fool's gold age. I agree with you, dude. 100%. I agree with you. MJ, good night, brother. I'm shocked that you're still up. It's probably like 3 in the morning over there. Patel, 100%. First Dracula, first Blade, origin of Blade. Agree with you 100% on those. Exquisite Corpses. I haven't heard any of that. I have not heard of that one. Dude, Jesse, how are you doing, man? Dude, he is incredibly hot. We were talking about him a little bit earlier on in the show and how much we all love his artwork. I just think there's just too many books coming out, or at least there was. I stopped I was collecting them as well. I told the story how like I bought an ASM 129 homage and it just shot through the roof. I had to sell it because it was just ridiculous, like how expensive it got. I'm like, that's when you know, like it's time to get out. I would still like to collect the cover, some of the covers that I get at, cover price, but some of these variants are just crazy. Yeah, I love pre-code horror. Like I said, some of them are really expensive, but some you could still get for really, really cheap. I picked up a Crime Suspense 17, which is to me is my favorite pre-code horror cover for $400. It's low grade, but I don't care. So I think when you get to a certain point in collecting, like start looking for things that you normally wouldn't go for. Like I talked about superhero fatigue a little bit because I feel like there's a lot of it right now. And that's why you're seeing some of this other stuff kind of take off with like even with Mark Spears, but pre-code horror, Bronze Age horror. Um, Gentleman before was talking about some copper horror, which I'm not really too familiar with. But even independent stuff taking off more because I think there is superhero fatigue right now. So they only sell A and B, he says, Jesse. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So again, guys, it's 10:15. I'm still going strong here. If anybody has any questions or anybody else wants to pop on, or if nobody does, like I said, we talked about the podcast earlier about who you guys would like to see me have on. The one thing I'll tell you is that I've actually asked Nick from Key Collector to come on, and he said he would. It's just figuring out a schedule for when he can come on. He's, extremely busy. I know he's just on Beyond Wednesdays. They had him on talking about a few things. So I have a totally different set of questions for Nick. So I'm hoping maybe he watches and reaches out to me again because don't want you forgetting about me, Nick. But yeah, totally different set of questions. It'd be a really great conversation. I am going to have a big website, comic book website that is going to come on. They've already agreed to come on that we're going to talk about. So Darth Lopez is jumping back on now. The kids must be asleep. Have no microphone, but that's all right.
No, the wifey's home.
Now I hear you. Okay, there you go. All right, she's home now.
Well,
So now you can play.
A little bit, yeah. Congratulations, dude. You're
On what?
nominated. Well, you're a finalist, so I guess that means now you're technically nominated, so you can win a comic book YouTube Emmy.
So let me ask you, let me ask you a question. What am I a finalist for? I thought they're the
Oh yeah, this is Restream. Yeah, it's different. I haven't. Yeah.
What am I? How can I be nominated if the subscribers only go up to 2,000? It says now. So how am I nominated?
It's different categories. I think you're. Oh shoot, was it best edited? It's something, bro.
Best
I
looking.
don't.
It
But you
has to
got
be
my
best
vote.
looking.
Possibly. I mean, you do look like a cuter version of Marv Albert. So yeah,
I don't even know where you get that from. You keep saying Marv Albert. I
bro.
don't.
Every time I see you and I hear you, it must be the
Yes,
accent. It's like, yeah.
Jordan with
I
the
don't.
3.
Yes, yeah. So I don't remember, bro. But you're nominated. I mean, whatever, you know. And Angry, he's absolutely correct. If I win, I'm thinking him and Sticky. So I got nominated in two. The only one I know for sure is under 500 or under 1,000 sub channel.
Awesome.
So
Congratulations to you, brother. I'm happy
yeah,
for you.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, whatever. You know, I don't. It's just fucking around. I ain't gonna lie. It'd be good to use it for clouding.
Is it clout though? Is it clout? I'm gonna ask you that.
No,
Is it clout?
not clout. I would use it to troll. Because you best believe if I win, I'm exactly thanking Straight Angry White Male and King Daniel and whatever else. So absolutely, but no, I think it's good for like the caliber of content. So I think there are channels like you, DJ Links, even Tom that do high quality content, and I think it. Yeah, I should think it should be limited to like maybe the channels that do the best quality content.
I
A
agree
channel
with
like
you.
me should not, dude, come on, let's be real.
I know.
And
I don't mean
others.
like that. Here's the thing. If they're really gonna do like an awards thing, like I always personally thought, if people are watching your channel, that's obviously a qualification. If you're entertaining, that's qualification. If you do great editing, should be absolutely, because the
Hmm.
amount of work that
Hmm.
goes into that shit. And I always say DJ Links is the best that I've ever seen do that
Yeah,
shit, because
see, to me,
he's
he
like
is, dude. Yeah.
he should win it every fucking year. But um, I don't know if
But
you're
those don't get views. And that's what I mean by this community is fickle.
that,
I've seen DJ Leaks put out that solid content and the views struggle. And that's no
it's
shade on him.
no, it's really it's what people want to watch. Everybody has their own different thing of what they like. That's
yeah.
the whole thing. Like so, first, Patel, you've been so generous tonight. I want to say thank you again. Did they ever figure out how that guy scammed CGC a while back, switching out qualified slabs to blue labels and got them to buy CC? So what I heard is that there was a settlement. That's what I think you're talking about. That they settled out. That you're talking about when they whole cracked everything with the whole Mark Jeweler stuff. Is that what we're talking about? The same thing where they cracked the books out and they resubmitted the raw and got a higher grade. They got another grade, but then had a lower grade book and a 9.8 slab. I think it was all the same person, as far as I know, and I believe they settled out of court.
Damn.
So,
I was
what
gonna
were you
show
saying?
you
I
some
apologize.
no, it's like I was gonna show you some because I know you're not picking up modern books, but I get Transformers and I went to the shop. I hadn't been in a month because I'm not ordering much, and there was some nice incentives for some of the Transformer books, but I left them upstairs. But no, I think huh?
I was gonna say I thought about going back and picking up like the original Transformers run, but like only the key issues, like first Grimlock, first Megatron, obviously
Mm,
one. But I don't know if I want to spend the money on that shit.
for personal?
Yeah, yeah, because I'm a
Mm.
big Transformers guy too. Those are my 3: He-Man,
Yeah,
Thundercats, and Transformers.
yeah, I'm GI Joe Transformers uh Thundercats.
Yeah.
I love
So
Lionel was a monster, bro. He was a
that
beast.
that
And
was that was
the
a
music.
great, yeah. The theme and him
Oh,
going Thundercats. It's iconic, bro. It is iconic.
right. Well, GI Joe, bro. I mean, GI Joe. Yeah, well, GI Joe was just the toys, man. Jesus, the toys. If I had 2 grand and I could just spend on anything I wanted, it'd be the USS Flag,
Oh,
and I would
the
display it in my
fucking
man cave. I had it, bro.
loose
I had it as a kid,
loose. Oh yeah. If you had that was like the grail piece. I remember when I did
bro.
that toy that video about the 10 greatest toys. That was one of the fucking thing, because that was like one
Yeah,
that and Castle Grayskull, where I think were the
I
2
didn't
that were
have
like the
Castle.
most iconic.
Yeah,
Yeah, they were the most
I was
iconic
bl-
though.
I was blessed with good parents, bro. My mom's a retired CPA, and my dad worked at Warner Brothers Studios in Hollywood, and they went halves on that toy. And I ruined it almost a year later. I had a sleepover because I had the toy. Then I put a schoolmate, he tried to body slam me, and I accidentally put him in a small package, and we rolled on top of the aircraft carrier, and it cracked it in half. My brother tried to glue
I
it,
would
put
have
it
fucking killed
together.
him right there. I would have
Uh,
body slammed him through it.
well, you know what,
So
my brother. Yeah.
they said Jesse's trying to get in the chat. It's pinned in the chat. It's also in the description of the video, but I just put it in the chat again if Jesse wants to come on. So it's
Yeah,
right
because
there,
you have
Jesse,
to
if you want to
scroll
come on
up.
as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say on my thing, it says there's, if you click at the thing at the top, it says pinned. So I don't know if that you see that on your end though. So I don't know. But I just posted it
I
in the
don't know.
chat again.
But this looks better because StreamYard, I'll be doing it for free because I'm not trying to pay
Yeah.
for
I
StreamYard.
mean, this is free too. So I'm not paying for the shit
Yeah,
either.
no, and I missed the discount. I almost thought about it because it took whatever little clips I had. So now I got a Google Drive, you know, I'm computer illiterate kind of. My Whisper Cells does most of my stuff. So I took away all my clips. So I got a Google Drive any clip I bring up, which it's all good. I'm only streaming live once a week now anyway, dude. So
So Derek, I thought it was the same guy. It's the same scam. Basically, they cracked the book, they put it in a different, they take a different book out and put it in that slab, and they never checked it for a reholder. Yeah, I think it's the same scam. That
mm,
has to do with CGC's cases because they're easy to get into. But that's where I think PSA has the biggest value because if
well,
that it keeps happening to CGC, if that keeps happening and people find a way to keep doing it, like you can't get in that PSA slab. There's no way to get in without totally destroying the slab.
see, and I do have some. I got a bunch of Sonic books, a bunch of the RI, the incentives, the 1 in 10s, and they're in good shape, bro. And if I were to go send uh, the last time a bunch of books in, would be those Sonic books, just to see if I could sell them. What would they go for? Because Sonic books, dude, like
You got to wait for the
they
movie.
could go for money.
Wait for the
Oh,
next
the
movie.
movie. Mm. Those have value, bro. When I was digging hunting, dude. $100, $70, and I'd find them in dollar bins, and they'd be banged up. They'd have spine ticks and all that, and they would sell slow, but they were almost guaranteed sell. Every now and then, I'd have to lower the price by a few bucks, but they'd sell. So now I just bought my book, CGC. I've done that for
See,
the first time where I bought a 9.8.
thank you again, Patel. I really appreciate it. Let me answer this before I comment on what you just said. Would you trust a PSA slab UV protection to display? So the answer is no. I don't care what anybody's, if they came out with said it's 100% UV, I still wouldn't do it. Now, you could see the stuff I have back here. Like I have lights obviously in my case and stuff like that. I don't worry about it too much because outside of when I'm down here filming, those lights aren't on. So it's not that big of a deal. They're not, predisposed all the time. So I don't trust any of that shit unless my suggestion, you know what I would do? I'd buy a cheap PSA slab that's got a bullshit book in it and test it. That's the easiest way to do it. And you could test it that way and see if it really does work. But out of the gate, no, I wouldn't trust it on an expensive book. But to what you were saying, but like IP characters like Sonic, like even toys to an extent, like Motu,
Mm,
G.I. Joe, I'd rather own like their first appearance or whatever it occurred. So like
mm.
Sonic, his first appearance was the game. So I'd rather have the game than a
Which
comic.
I loved. I was a Sega
Yeah,
Genesis guy. I
me
went
too. I
from
love Genesis.
Atari to Nintendo, and then Sega Genesis. That
Yeah, that's
I
what I did.
never right. My buddies, my homies had the Nintendo, so that's how I played Super Mario 3, which I think is probably the greatest or one of the greatest. But everything was Sega Genesis, dude. What was it? Streets of Rage, all that,
That
dude.
that's what made that system, and we can go on. My second thing
Yeah,
with
dude. That
MJ, that's my second thing with MJ this week is coming out. It's us talking about all these other consoles. Like that Genesis had different games that you couldn't get on the NES.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
like Ninja
Streets of
Gaiden
Rage.
was on the Master
Oh
System first,
yeah,
but it came out
yeah,
on the NES way later. Sonic,
yeah.
obviously. What the
Strider.
fuck?
Do you remember
Yes,
Strider, bro?
yeah,
Bro, right. Oh, do you remember this was like 94. There was it Neo Geo where you could put a card in?
yeah.
Remember that? And they
I
had this
remember.
one
I remember the arcade Neo Geo. I never had the. I
correct. I
never.
didn't have
Yeah.
no, but I remember that you could put a card in the arcade because dude, it was a fire game. and I would always play. It was like Big Bear. I remember. That's what I'm saying, Mighty. Our era, and no offense to millennials or anything like that, you just can't beat the 80s and some of the 90s. Like
Early
90s
90s.
for
I
music,
agree.
yeah,
Yeah.
90s for music and whatever else, but the 80s cartoons and toys, bro, it was like must see TV. You
Even
know what I
movies
mean?
too. I put out a
Oh,
post on
bro,
Instagram like who would want us to come talk about 80s movies with me or 80s TV shows because that's a whole conversation in itself.
right. Remember, I sent you a list of what I don't know if you remember of what the top 10 or whatever or what came out in 1987. For me, that was
Yeah.
huge, bro. Like I'm a movie buff. I watch Oscars, I do Emmys. Aliens, which is my favorite movie. I think Lethal Weapon. There's a bunch of movies in 87 that if you look at that list, you'd be like, fuck, I remember exactly where I was at, dude.
85 was another one because I saw like another YouTube clip recently. It was like all the 85 movies. It was insane. All the great shit that came out in 85. But
Yeah.
back to the Sega talk. And this is a little of a spoiler for me and MJ's conversation. We talked about what made that system so great was the fact that the sports games that the Genesis had were so much better than the NES.
Yes.
Like the NHL, the football games are better. All the sports games were so much better on the Sega Genesis. That's what really drove that system, in my opinion.
World Series baseball, arguably one
Yeah.
of the best baseball games ever.
Oh,
And
I
the
agree.
first
Like
FIFA, it was a World Cup when we got the World Cup in '94, bro. And even my older brother played. Like FIFA was an addiction. I have addictive personality. FIFA and like I played FIFA online on Xbox. That's where I got Darth Lopez from like '06 all the way to my like a year before my first son was born. So like 2018, I played it religiously. I spent a lot of money on FU Team, Ultimate Team, EA points to get buy packs because you get informed players. And I was a monster, bro. Like there was a time where, dude, I'd make people rage quit. I beat teams with like 2, 3 star teams. I just destroy people. And you think the trolling, that's when I learned how to accept trolling
it's
because I
it's
hate,
funny you say that because fucking MJ talks about that on the podcast that's coming up this week. He
yeah,
talks about how like that he said no matter how good his team was, he would always get killed by somebody with a lesser team. We talked a little bit about that as well. That's funny you bring
oh,
that up.
allegedly it was called a handicap. So allegedly, like if you had a silver team, it would make the gold team player play a little bit off. And so that game, and I think MJ, I've had the conversation with MJ. I used to press all out offense with a lesser team to put pressure on them. They would lose the ball. I'd 1-2 score within three, whatever, and then they back out. That's what I was gonna say. The trolling in this sometimes, right, certain space was nothing to what I was called when people quit. Like
Of
they would,
course, I can imagine.
oh my God, bro, they called me. It was just like
Don't say it.
insane.
Don't
So
say it on
no,
my
of course, no,
channel.
no,
Yeah,
no, no,
exactly.
no, 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 no. But you know
Jesse,
what?
how are you, man?
How you doing, Jesse? I'm gonna let you go because my wife's gonna take a shower and I'll put the kids to bed. So thank you as always, Mighty. Much
I'll
respect.
see you, bud. Yep,
Nice to
I'll see
meet
you
you,
this
sir.
week.
Okay.
Take it easy. What's up, man? How you doing?
Nothing. So in the 1970s, let me tell you about that. No. I'll stick with the 80s as well. As a young lad who sold in a comic book store in 1982 for 43 years, the 80s by far, the innocence of comics, right? That decade, the demographics, a 12-year-old selling to a 12-year-old,
Yeah,
right? Because that's who we were back in the day. And it all transcends into decades. And as we found over the years, that as you pivot decade to decade, we also need old guys like me and you to talk about the past, because the past is what makes the future more successful.
exactly.
So all you guys were correct today. A couple of things I wanted to show you. Since you did
Absolutely.
bring up aliens, here's my one of my favorite
Oh, wow.
pictures. I know I was devastated when I found out she wasn't Mexican and she was a white girl, redheaded white girl, right? I was devastated by that. And then I just picked this up today, which is kind of cool.
Wow.
Yeah. Great shape. So yeah, it's a fun business, and I think this is what happens in business. You go daily with hot items, whether you're talking about spears, whether you guys were talking about pre-code, which has been hot since probably pre-code came out, right? Because it was so hard to get in any shape or form. Right now, we're finding out that bondage is still by far the number one sought after item possible year after year. So it's been, I think we're in a great time for comics, but I think we have to have these conversations so that people actually know what they're investing in and what they're buying.
Yeah, I agree with you. Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
What are you seeing right now? Like when people come in, like, is it like you see more people coming in for a certain thing over others and what that thing is?
So that is a great question. So I came from a store in Arizona that was pretty much comics, TCG, 80 pinball machines, right?
Mhm.
And when I
You
got
had
to
pinball machines?
yeah, I had
Oh
80,
man,
80 of them.
I would have loved that, man.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm a big
everyone.
arcade and pinball guy. Okay.
Yeah, everything. I mean, just everything you can think of. Remarks from Alice Cooper, all the Star Wars folks. We were really into making that pinball machine very unique than just another pinball machine, right? And so we would travel the nation just to get autographs. Alice Cooper would come in and remark or whatever that we
That's
could do.
awesome.
But when we got to Florida, I technically had 9 months off, and I was really going around the state trying to figure out what is new and what is hot and how do I incorporate that into a comic book store. And what I found out was, why don't I build a boutique store instead of a comic book store? So no slant walls, 4 feet in between tables, boxes aren't full, 70 genres broken into another 30 genres, and not putting all the Marvel in one spot. Let's put the hot Marvel over here and the strong women over here and all that stuff. But here's what's funny about it. My number one selling item in the store, because we have done everything, whether it be music, vintage, is, and you're not going to believe this, and Key Collectors was joking, Nick was joking about it, and he's then put it in the top 10 list at some point. Our number one selling item are actually socks.
Really?
And socks have become a huge success for our store. And it goes from vintage to just titles that you're familiar with or like. Now, I don't know if people actually wear these.
That was
I'm
my
sorry.
question.
Yeah,
Are they collecting them or are they wearing them?
they are collecting them. And what's crazy is when I first bought them, I'm like, oh, these guys are Iron Maiden fans. So, okay, let me go get some Eddie stuff. And they come in and they say, well, I kind of looking for Rick and Morty stuff. I'm like, okay, well, okay, why are you looking for Rick and Morty? Well, I'm putting together my wall of socks. And I'm like, so you have a wall of socks. You know, I have a wall of pictures behind me, right? You have a wall of socks. And whether it be vintage shirts, which is number 2, Disney is number 3, music is number 4, comics is number 5, comics is number 1 by volume. So if we
Yeah.
went by volume, but if we go by units, it's socks. Every customer has to buy because it's 4 for 10. Every customer that walks up to the table, because it's right at the table, have to buy 4 socks.
Well, that's the thing. Like 4 for $10. That's a deal. I mean,
Yeah.
you walk up and you see 4 for 10. I'll take these in a heartbeat. That's incredible.
Exactly, exactly. So you have that add-on sale. The other thing that we've noticed is it's not really, people aren't really looking for that hot cover anymore. They're really looking to fill those runs. And so it's no longer uh Batman Who Laughs. Oh, I need cover D. No, I just need issue 2 to complete this. And that's been huge for us because it's no longer a directional buy. It's a,
Yeah.
no, I have a number 2. Here you go. What series do you want to try next? And I think that helps when we look at our average sales are up. So that's a good thing. Our demographics are dropping a little, which is great. So that 40 to 60 has now kind of become about 35 to 60, which was huge because we did
Yeah.
have that gap. We invested a lot of money in manga, and that's doing very well for something we don't know what the hell we're doing,
Yeah.
right? It's just too many titles, right?
Yeah.
And so I think we're in a new world, a new business where you can pivot. You can pivot based on your customer base, on almost a daily routine. Because the greatest thing about Diamond going out of business, it opened up our eyes to use other
Yeah.
distributors and warehouses that I would never think of. I mean, who goes out and looks for a sock distributor? Well, now I have 3 sock distributors. So that's kind of what you're looking at. Now I will say one more thing, and this might be because I'm in Florida versus Arizona. No slight on what I'm going to say either state, but our women business is off the hook. Women that buy have been amazing. And women that buy comics also have to accessorize. So if they're buying Amazing Spider-Man, they need that vintage shirt, they need that sock, they need the earrings. And so that's the great part about our business is the growth in so many directions that traditionally we've broken that ceiling of, oh my gosh, you got to be a comic book fan, and that's why you come into the store.
Absolutely. I always said this. So I have an LCS by me that is a really good shop, but what makes them great is because just like you, they have everything. People go in there for cards, they go in there for comics, they go in there for toys, they go in for memorabilia, they go in. So it's you can't just do one or two things anymore. You have to have your eye open to everything. And you talk about nostalgia. I think that's the biggest driving force into collectibles is nostalgia. So the more you have of that and the more you can kind of draw every type of person in, every type of collector, because at the heart of this industry, that's what I think is drives everything. And I think everybody's a collector to a certain point. So if you have something, even if one thing socks for a collector, I think you're going to be successful. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, yeah. You know, there's an old rule in the comic book business that if someone comes in and picks up their pull box and they say thank you, and you say awesome, thank you very much, and they walk out the door, you've done nothing to help that customer.
Mm.
You haven't serviced him at all. The only thing you've done is handed him his new issues. And so our goal was always to say, hey, have you read Infinity Gauntlet? Or hey, do you see the well now do you see these shirts? Hey, I got the matching socks for this title, whatever it is. So I think our job is to give great comic book therapy to all the customers when they walk into the store because that's their gateway away from the real world. And
100%.
if right, exactly. So our job is to create great comic book therapy, stay out of drama, stay out of being opinionated, just sell books. That's all people care about. There's not a customer I've talked to that has asked me about Diamond. Why? Because most customers have no idea who Diamond
Yeah.
is. Right. And so I think that's very important. I just wanted to come on the show because I think you do a great job because you're you. And
Thank you
we
so
see
much,
a
man. I
lot of
appreciate that.
people, yeah, no problem. We see a lot of people try to be someone else. And I think that's very unique to see this. And so I just want to come on, talk a little bit, let you know, continue to do the great jobs, do these open mics, get other people's opinions. Trust me, I will at some point have pinballs up here. We'll get you up here and
Where in
have some
Florida
fun.
are you?
I am in DeLand, Florida. So I chose to be in between Orlando and Daytona. I mean, I'm right in the middle. And it's
Okay.
kind of yeah, it's kind of funny because it was a joke. This place has 8 anchors. It has Aldi's is right next to me, Five Below on one side, Ross
Okay.
TJ Maxx right on the other side of me. Literally in front of the store is McDonald's and Panda Express, right?
Oh, there you go.
And so when they came to me, they said, I'm not going to tell the whole story, but at the end of the day, I said, you wouldn't want a comic book store in here, would you? And they're, oh, absolutely. And I said, well, here's the problem. If I said I sold mud, you'd say, oh my gosh, that would work perfect, right? And what happened was I didn't really have time to give them a description what I sold because I sold so much. And, you know, we're one of the largest live streamers out there. I own a big live stream company. And so we had all this stuff that really entailed that I really didn't need a comic book store. And so what I did was, now I'm going to tell you, this is my 13th year losing an Eisner Award. So what I did was I sent them my Eisner Award video, and they loved it. And they asked me what I needed, and I told them, and I pined this guy, right? And they gave me everything I wanted till myself subconsciously said, I can't take advantage of them anymore. This is too much. And I will tell you, the traffic I get in a day is more than I get in a week at the store in Arizona.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why you have to have diversity. You have to have a great amount of product. You have to have, you know, I love showing my pictures. I love showing my culture. I think that's very, very important when customers walk in, that they say, oh, this guy's been doing this since 1983 or 1982. Hasn't missed a San Diego Con since 1983, even though I did miss it this year for the first time. But anyways, I just want to tell you, congratulations. Keep up the good work. And let's keep the 80s alive.
100%. Before you go, I got to ask you this because we've had such a quick, nice conversation. You have a lot of information to give me. You interested in coming on a podcast and having a conversation with me?
Yes. Anytime you want, just let me know. Everybody that knows me knows I'm an open book, not controversial. Awesome. I come from corporate America, so I'm very good at understanding corporate versus the freaking comic book world, which is completely opposite.
Yeah,
of what
I can imagine.
Yeah, so get a hold of me, and we'll make it happen.
100%. I'll definitely message you. So definitely, I'll message you through Instagram. So I'll just look out for my message. All right, man. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
All right, brother.
Take care, man.
Yep.
So that was nice to have Jesse hop on there. Make sure you guys are following him. Derek dropped his Instagram. I'll put it up again for you guys, and his eBay. So make sure you are following Jesse on both of those platforms. Great guy. And he's always on with Brian over on Beyond Wednesdays. Make sure you're watching them as well. They always put out great stuff. They give you a lot of great insight. One of the few comic book YouTube channels that I do pay attention to, and I don't have Brian on the podcast. We've talked already about doing it, but hopefully I can get him to come on as well. So that was great. Yeah, 100%. I would love to have him on. I just, like I said before, I want to have a conversation. Like the topic is more important than the person. And Jesse's got a lot of knowledge in this industry that I sure as hell don't have. So like a lot of the stuff that I put out, the information that's given to me is what I really want. That's, I think, why I do YouTube is the more I learn, the better I get. And I think that's how we all should operate, in my opinion, but that's okay. He seems like a great guy. And I haven't had too much exposure outside of listening to him on Brian's show. And I think last time I did a live, we had a small convo as well. So Sean is saying she's got some cool stuff. I saw that somebody asked Angry Straight White Male, what was his grail? What was his big one? So he's saying, so that his Izzyverse NYC, he's doing a giveaway. He does a lot of hot lists as well. His editing is phenomenal as well. He does them live though. So if you want to jump in on that, he does a lot of that. He does have pre-recorded stuff as well. Good dude. One of the first guys I met when my YouTube channel kind of started to take off a bit. He introduced himself to me. So that was really go. Here you go. Derek's putting up, I'm sure everybody here subscribes to Beyond Wednesdays already. He's on the industry show every Tuesday. So make sure you listen to that. I always listen to them. They go on so late by me. I'm on the East Coast. I go to bed early, but usually during the week because I'm up early for work. But I usually listen to it on my way to work because I have a drive to work, and it's a great listen. So make sure you guys are definitely checking them out. So you guys have anything else you want to talk about, or should I bag this thing? I'll leave it up to you. I kind of covered all the topics I wanted to, but I'll leave it up to you guys. But the one thing I am going to ask you guys, I don't mind staying on because, it's almost 11 here on the East Coast, but I'm good. Synthetic panels, how are you? Here you go. Derek, look at all the fucking he's got everybody's link in like 2 seconds, man. Thank you, Derek. That's why he's a valued member of this community. He's always supporting everybody. I see him on everybody's live stream. Derek, you're the best, man. We love you. But yeah, I'm here for any questions you guys want to talk about. Or like I said, I could just bag it. I'm good. I got no plans this weekend. I haven't had a plan. I haven't had nothing to do in a long time. A couple of weeks from now, you guys won't see me on a Friday night for a long time because my son plays football. So all his games are on Friday. He's actually playing in Hall of Fame Stadium in 2 weeks in Canton, Ohio. It's going to be awesome. Looking forward to that one. You're more than welcome to jump on anytime you want, man. I don't do a lot of live streams. I will say that. Last one I did was like 3 or 4 months ago when I gave away that Avengers 4 original art. So you're more anyone. I usually do these open mics once in a while. As long as we all keep it respectful, I'm good. I learned my lesson with that one. I ain't going the disrespectful route anymore. What do you think of the new Alien and Predator stuff? Sorry, you asked this a couple of times, Shona. I'm not really familiar with the new stuff, so I can't really answer that. When Izzy was on, I should have addressed it, but my mouse wasn't working, so I apologize. Izzy does a lot of the new stuff. He has a lot of knowledge and all the stuff that comes out. So I would say hit him up. He can give you a better answer on that. Why have you been awake for so long? And question 2, when are you going to sleep? So to make a quick short answer, my back has been killing me for the better part of a year. And like it would get better. And now like the middle of my back was bothering me. Now my lower back is bothering me. So like I just don't sleep well anymore because I like roll over a certain way and my back was killing me. That's all. It's nothing, whatever. Like, and I don't take meds because I've said this before. I work in the medical field and I try not to take any medicine whatsoever. So I just deal with it. So it's just, that's it. That's the only reason I don't sleep. I don't sleep well, I should say. But other than that, I'm going to bed soon because I'm always up at like the crack of dawn no matter what. So thank you so much, Kirby, and I really appreciate that, man. Looking forward to it. He's a big kid, so we'll see how he does this year. Hopefully he does well. But he's a senior, so this is it for him. Then he's retiring. But yeah, any less common questions, guys, and also I'm gonna bag it. And I want to thank everybody for sticking with me. This is a long stream, almost 3 hours, man. I never do a 3-hour live stream, so this is a lot of fun. Thanks to Darth Lopez, Jesse, Izzy, who am I forgetting? Matrix, who jumped on for a little bit to say hello, ask me some questions. Appreciate everybody and all the communication and all the super chats. Patel, really appreciate that, man. That was very kind of you. Yeah, I've been dealing with it for a while, Derek. It's just go to a chiropractor, feels good for a bit, then it goes back. I think I need to just change my career. I love this YouTube thing to kind of take off and not do my work anymore, but it's all right. He's a running back and he's gotten so big they moved him to defensive end. He was always a corner, believe it or not. That's how big he's gotten. So he's a running back and he's a defensive end. So yeah, definitely look, he's a big football fan and so am I. So he's been playing his whole life. I coached him for 4 years until he got to high school. And then he's doing his thing now for 1 more year and then he'll go off to college. So I appreciate that, man. I sniff comic books as my drug. There's better things to sniff than that. Derek sharing Darth Lopez's YouTube channel. Make sure you're subbed up to him as well. I'm glad I reached number 2 on these comments in the chat. Peace out. Thank you, guys. All right, so I'm going to bag it for tonight. Again, thank you to everyone out there who stuck with me, just listening tonight. It's always appreciated, all right? I'm glad the mouse started working again. No idea what happened with that shit. So, again, I appreciate everyone out there for jumping on. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I always end every video, this is Lawrence over at Mighty